District attorney went off the rails. Innocent until proven guilty. Never came out of his mouth. That is outrageous. We are outraged. Before any trial has occurred, he announced the defendant's theory of the case is a desperate attempt to reassign guilt. That is outrageous. We are outraged. He provided a false notice of discovery, claiming he did not know. We now know that was a lie. That is outrageous. We are outraged. This court should be outraged. Everyone should be outraged. That is outrageous. We are outraged. District attorney went off the rails. Innocent until proven guilty. Never came out of his mouth. That is outrageous. We are outraged. Be provided a false notice of discovery, claiming he did not know. We now know that was a lie. That is outrageous. We are outraged. This court should be outraged. Everyone should be outraged. That is outrageous. We are outraged. That is outrageous. We are outraged. This court should be outraged. Everyone should be outraged. Outraged. That is outrageous. We are outraged.
Everyone loves an angry Yannetti, right? We all do. All right. We do have sound. Check, check. Pretty sure we do. All right. So, what a wild day, huh? I'm a little embarrassed to say I didn't watch an entire morning because I slept in. But I came in, I think, like halfway through Brennan losing his shit. That was pretty fun. That's right. We're all pretty upset, actually. They want to know all the things, right? All the things, except what they're supposed to know during a WRD. So, no Nightbot. Nobody butt dialed you, but we didn't talk about butt dials today. Hank was a defense attorney for mobster Wordy Bulger. No, today he's the defense attorney for the mobsters. That's right. Yeah, so if you want to interact with the bot, please do switch to all messages. And we will have a little session at the end of how to interact with the bot and have a little fun with the bot. It's kind of been our little wrap-up thing each day now, so why spoil a good thing, right? All right, so let's have a listen. I really want to annihilate this Whiffen dude. Come back to this. I'll come back to this bit. I want to annihilate this Whiffen dude, and to do that, I'm going to play Andrea Burkhart's little description and probably read Olivia's as well, because they both wrap up essentially what he said very well, but the problem is what he said is not true, or I won't say deceitful, but certainly misleading. So, but So today we're going to get a lesson on the Doppler effect. Most of you probably already know what the Doppler effect is. This is like primary school, or you guys would call it grade school education, but let's get a share screen up and listen to what Andrea says. So I'm just going to knock her chat off because she's still live right now, but I just wanted to play this bit for you.
Byron Butterfield, never heard of an iPhone camera being able to provide Doppler info. I checked with my optical communications engineer son, and he concurs with me. Yeah, I don't know what any of this stuff is. When I think of Doppler, I'm thinking of radar. I'm thinking of that thing you get on the weather report. I don't know if this is the same thing. I don't know if it's a similar thing. I don't know any relationship between those things at all. I don't know. But the Doppler is apparently just the thing that's telling you if the phone is in pocket mode or not. And by pocket mode, all they mean is that the cameras are covered up, right?
No, wrong. She's going to read out her notes.
All he said it meant was just that the phone is covered up, therefore it's in pocket mode, and then as soon as it gets uncovered, and there's something that triggers it to check, it will show that status is cleared. Pocket mode is cleared. I don't know what, if anything, that has to do with the kind of Doppler that tells you about your weather. Somebody smarter than me in the chat can tell me if there's any relationship at all, or if I am just
no relationship,
connecting threads that don't have anything to do with each other. That's what I thought when he said Doppler. So yeah, I don't know. No idea. That Southern blonde lawyer, it's like we've only seen Alessi shoot free throws.
We shall come back to Alessi, but let's talk about this Doppler. So in grade school, you might remember that it's probably been explained to you as when the sound of like a car honking goes past, it changes tone as it's going past. It sounds like it changes tone, but that's not actually what's happening. So let's do what is actually happening first, just in the context of sound. So anything that can be measured in a wave, like a sound, like light, like radio waves, anything that can be measured in waves is actually what the Doppler effect is. But let's do a little lesson on that so we know what we're all talking about.
The source of the wave and the observer.
Did you get
the
that?
Doppler effect is perhaps best explained visually.
Wait, I didn't switch it over. You've got to hear Sheldon's description. Please don't tell me I'm on mute. I'm not. I'm good. Right, listen to Sheldon's version first, because it does sound like Whiffen.
Sheldon's words.
It's the apparent change in the frequency of a wave caused by relative motion between the source of the wave and the observer.
The Doppler effect is perhaps best explained visually. So here's a thing that is emitting waves. It could be a fire truck emitting sound, it could be a star emitting light, it could be a duck creating ripples on a pond. Those are all waves, and they all look something like this. We see the Doppler effect happening when the thing that is emitting waves moves. In the direction it's moving, the wavefronts bunch up, and behind it they spread out. If our object is moving towards a stationary observer, these bunched up waves are observed at a high frequency, and if the object is moving away from a stationary observer, the waves are observed at a lower frequency. So that is the Doppler effect, the apparent change in the frequency of a wave caused by relative motion between the source of the wave and the observer. It makes sense, but it gets interesting when you consider some of its applications. So let's say you are standing in the middle of a road. That's you, and a car drives past you very fast. As it does so, it honks its horn, because you're standing in the middle of the road.
Beep beep.
The horn to you might sound something like this. So it starts at a high pitch and moves to a lower pitch, even though from the driver's perspective the horn is playing the same pitch the entire time. So what's going on? As the vehicle's coming towards you, the sound waves that it's emitting bunch up, and so are delivered to you at a higher frequency, which you interpret as a higher pitch, because the frequency of sound waves is pitch. And then when the vehicle passes you and is moving away from you, the sound waves spread out and at a lower frequency, a lower pitch. So
that's how the Doppler effect works. Alright, it's easy. It's to do with waves. So the closer you are to the wave source, the more close together the waves are. The further away you are from the source, the further apart the waves are. It's very simple. It's got nothing to do with cameras. So let's talk about what it has to do with wireless communications, like, for example, a cell phone. Let's have a look at this example. So we've got a chart here, but the important thing is to notice that as you get closer, the waves are closer together.
Let me first show you the setup. The base station sends a carrier signal at 1 GHz. The antenna or receives a signal. The spectrum analyzer shows the frequency shift of the received signal relative to the carrier frequency. Now the car starts driving. Let's see what happens. As it accelerates towards the transmitter, the red dot oscillates faster. The frequency of the received signal increases. At this point we notice a Doppler shift of 10 Hz. Now the car accelerates to a speed which is fourfold as fast. Watch the effect on the Doppler shift. Notice that the frequency shift is proportional to the speed. At maximum speed we measure a Doppler shift of 40 Hz. What do you think will happen now? The car brakes. Again, what do you think will happen now? That's it. Now, finally, calculate the speed of the car. Please.
We don't need to get into speed of the car. That's essentially what the Doppler effect is. Yes. If a tree falls in the woods. Whoops. I lost your message. Oh, let's put it back up. Yes. You need to have an observer. Exactly. This is something that Einstein found out, right? That things are different without the observer, or depending on how the observer observes, right? But that's a little too complex. It's just simple, okay? The Doppler effect, or the Doppler state that Ian Whiffen was talking about, is talking about the Wi-Fi reception or the Bluetooth reception, right? That's what it's talking about. That's completely separate to the phone, to the camera, sorry. He described it as something to do with the camera. And you can see that reflected in, let me get Olivia's, let me switch back to that and we go and get Olivia's post, because she described what, oh shit, I've lost Lambo's post. Hang on, let me go get Lambo's post. Sorry, here we go. She makes a very valid point, but it's not based on what Whiffen said. It's just based on her observing. She makes a point that the phone moved at 5:52 a.m. The phone logged in pocket blocked state. And she says here, the Doppler pocket state measure records the state of the frontward-facing camera on the iPhone when an incoming call is received. That's kind of what Whiffen said, except guess what? Your front-facing camera doesn't give a shit if you're receiving a call or not. It has nothing to do with that function. It's not going, do I need a selfie at the same time I'm getting a call? Maybe not. He's completely disingenuous. He's trying to confuse the jury, is the way I see it. But anyway, let's move into the explanations and then you'll understand what's going on. So Olivia says, when a call is received on the iPhone, the frontward-facing camera automatically activates for Face ID recognition. That depends if it's on or not. If the phone is inside one's pocket or the camera is otherwise blocked during this activation, the phone will record it as having been in a pocket state. Not true. Pocket state is a different thing to Doppler. So when the camera is not blocked or the phone is not in one's pocket, for instance, it will record as being in a cleared state. So Olivia is in fact describing what Whiffen described, but it isn't how the phone works. So let me just get my head together on this. So the phone doesn't record the state of the camera on incoming calls. There is no iOS feature or forensic log that says, hey, let me check if the selfie cam is covered during a phone call. What actually happens when you receive a call is the proximity sensor activates when you lift the phone to your ear to turn off the screen and avoid accidental touches. For example, the ambient light sensor continues to detect light levels, and the front-facing camera does not engage, monitor, or log whether it's covered. So this pocket state feature that Apple talks about, it's a developer feature. So if you're writing an app for an Apple device, then you want to know the certain states of certain things on the phone, and that's what this is for. But most of all, the pocket state is to prevent butt dials. That's what it does. Its feature, the pocket state feature, as described by Apple documentation for developers, is to prevent butt dials or accidental activation of something else while you're playing your game or operating the app. iOS isn't sitting there logging the state of your camera lens like it's part of some forensic checklist. That would be a massive privacy violation. And if true, Apple would be getting sued into oblivion. So it's not true. But what Ian has accidentally done is given some credence to the rumor that Clara posted the other day saying that your Apple iPhone is watching everything that you do. He's kind of given it some credence there. So, whoops, I probably should shut my messages. Oops. Anyway, so that's not what Doppler is doing. Okay, Doppler and the phone and the pocket state are two completely different things. So the Doppler is not used or is not connected to camera awareness at all. So as we just discovered with these Doppler examples I gave you, it's in relation to wireless signal behavior, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi shifts. Has nothing to do with the front-facing camera, and it's possibly combined with proximity and ambient light sensors. There's zero connection between the Doppler context state and the operational or physical state of the front-facing camera. Full stop. Whiffen is conflating unrelated systems, probably because he knows the jury won't understand the difference. Most likely most of you didn't understand the difference until you came on here and learned the difference. That's correct, the buffet zone. Butt dials have entered the chat. So, the pocket state is specifically to prevent accidental activation or butt dials and things along those lines. The Doppler effect is specifically to monitor the signal strength, essentially. So, I'm getting excited about it because he's just so wrong, and it makes me excited when a tech like that is wrong and they're claiming something else. So, excuse me. Okay, what might be happening but isn't what he claimed is that if an incoming call happens and the proximity sensor detects something nearby, or the ambient light sensor detects darkness, and perhaps coincidentally Bluetooth signal behavior suggests, that there's less signal, then the phone might internally flag a pocket state to manage power or touch behavior. So that's one side of it. But the sensor fusion is not a forensic log of the camera being covered. So the camera isn't involved. It's not being checked. It's not recording its state. So the way that Whiffen put it across was completely incorrect. By linking the phrase, forward-facing camera to the pocket state, he's implanting a false association between the two. If the phone knew the front camera was covered, then O'Keefe's phone must have been face down or somewhere in particular. Like, it's pure suggestive misdirection. Like, he's leveraging the average person's lack of understanding about how smartphones work, essentially. But the truth is, the pocket state is inferred from proximity sensor readings, ambient light levels, and possibly Bluetooth or Wi-Fi signal behavior. The camera plays no role, and there's no log system in iOS that tracks whether the lens is physically obstructed. All right, so let me just summarize that, okay? Whiffen wants you to believe that iPhones are self-aware enough to log when their selfie cam is covered during a phone call. In reality, the phone isn't spying on its own camera. It's just noticing if it's dark and if something's close. The pocket state doesn't mean the lens was covered. It means the sensors detected conditions similar to being in a pocket. Whiffen took a technical guess and spun it into a forensic fiction, basically. So, let me see how far. Let me just check on the chat again. I'm just reading through my notes just so that I don't get lost in this. But anyway, did you just butt dial me? No, Nightbot, I didn't. Where are we? Yes, we're going to get to the Arca, guys. We're going to get to the Arca, guys. We are currently talking about Whiffen. I know the Arca guys happened last, and that's what's on your brains right now, but we'll get to the Arca guys, because I got a bit to say about that, so. No, the pocket state actually prevents the butt dial, so they wouldn't be in the pocket. Buffer saying, as a Brit, I apologise for Mr. Whiffen, but technically he's Canadian now, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah. So let me just do a rundown on Let me do it. I probably don't need to go into that. That's pretty much repeating what I just said. The core problem, Whiffen is turning sensor heuristics designed for battery management and accidental touch prevention. That's what I would use it for. All of those heuristics that he mentioned, I would use them as an app developer for battery management, so we're not draining the user's battery. And then also accidental touch prevention, so that while you're playing the app, you don't accidentally, end up out of the app or something. So, but he's turning that into environmental surveillance, and that's not what it is. It's like saying my smoke alarm chirped, so clearly the house was on fire. No, it probably just had a low battery. So, as an Irishman, I can in no way trust an Englishman. Forensic fiction. We will see a bit of that, exactly. Pretty sure that's what we're seeing here. So the Doppler effect, some of the data that Ian Whiffen did show is actually showing us, signal changes, but he didn't base it all on signal changes. He based it off of fiction, basically. So we can't even say, well, he logged this time for this reason when it was supposedly for a different reason. We can't even really rely on his data because we don't know what he logged and what for what reason. If he'd have logged it saying this is where a signal change happened, that would be the Doppler effect. But if he logged it and said, oh, this is where I think he got a call, that has nothing to do with the Doppler effect. But he put Doppler at the top of his PowerPoint presentation for all of that data, suggesting it was all Doppler, but it's not. So I'm not sure what we can derive from his data. I do agree, though, with Olivia saying that it does show us that something happened here at 5:22 before anybody else arrived at the scene. She says here, John O'Keefe's cell phone showed that between 5:52:26 and 6:02:41, the front forward-facing camera went from being blocked or recorded as an in-pocket state to it being cleared before Karen Reed, Jen McCabe, and Kerry Roberts arrived at the scene. So in the sense that Olivia's putting it, using Whiffen's own fictional methodology, he's basically supporting the fact that someone else had John's phone. So this will be tricky for defense to get around, because using Ian Whiffen's own methodology, you could say, are you not just proving that? Which he is. And that's what Olivia's pointing out. But his methodology is wrong. No, the Faraday bag blocks the signal altogether. It doesn't reduce the signal slowly up and down and around the place. The storm probably does that, but certainly not the Faraday bag. It blocks it entirely. So in German, it's called a pocket call, right? But in the Karen Reed trial, it's called a butt dial. So, definitely north of Manchester. Definitely. Out of the fridge, you think? A fridge could have blocked the signal. There's a number of things that could have blocked the signal, but the points that we're making here, it could have been any of those things. And he even said that it could have been this, it could have been that. So what he's telling you is that his data isn't reliable. If he says it could have been this or it could have been that, that's your indicator that his data is not reliable. He knows it's not reliable. That's why he's saying, well, it could have been, or it might not have been, or it might have been. Yeah, I think tinfoil can actually do something similar. I think certain types of aluminium, I forget what it is now. There is something that they've overcome with this. I forget the details on it because I haven't studied it right now, but this one I looked into quite deeply, so I'm just going to stay on track. But anyway, so Whiffen wants the jury to believe that iPhones report whether the cameras are covered, like some kind of digital eyewitness, but here's the truth. The phone doesn't know if it's in a pocket, under a blanket, face down on a couch, under a body. It just notices when it's dark and something is nearby. Turning that into the camera was covered at 5:52 a.m. isn't science, it's speculation, dressed up in tech jargon so no one questions it. That's where I'm coming from with his explanation. But I do believe that even though he's wrong with his explanation, he's still proving that someone had that phone and it was moving at 5:52. So what did he record at 5:52? That's my question. I need to go back and look at the testimony again, which I'll do shortly. I'm going to come back to it. We're going to go through some of the testimony and just pull out some bits and pieces because I actually did miss the first part of his testimony. So Whiffen 10 meters, 30 feet. Right. Here, late, exhausted. Hey, Squeak, how's it going? You're welcome. The concrete in the basement is basically the frost line. True. So I actually had been saying that there was no garage, but I was wrong. So I looked into it today. Well, Tommy looked into it today, and together we sort of went through it, and we discovered that, well, the basement is just not on the plans. Sorry, the garage is just not on the plans. So the temperature range change is also interesting. I have to do a deep dive on that. I'll do it in a separate video, though. His data actually supports exactly what I said. So let's go to that now. Let's go to his data supports what I previously said. Pull that video up so we can just have a squizzy at what I said. Where's that video? This one here. We're going to have a freaking ad. Let me just switch it over to that screen. You don't need to see the ad. All right. So, you all might remember my drunken yellow dot cruising all over the place. What is John's phone? Was in a case? No, it wasn't in a case. So yeah, this is the timeline I came up with a little while back, and I did this by saying, you know, what are realistic travel times and what are realistic speeds, and, you know, adding a minute or two either side to those calculations to give us, you know, snow interruptions or whatever, turning a corner slower or things, pulling up for traffic lights and so on. So this is the timeline I came up with, and based on being on the phone with Jen at 2:18, which is an undisputed event in the phone datas, that's when I think he entered 34 Fairview into the ways while he was talking to Jen. It makes sense logically, not looking at the data and trying to make the data fit some logical explanation. I'm looking at logically, he's almost there, but he can't find it because they've already done they're already done their U-turn at some stage here, and he's on the phone with Jen. Just give me the freaking address, all right? Because your directions aren't helping. So to me, that was logical, and that fits in with the 12/19/29 arrival at 34 Fairview Road. Now, when Whiffen went through the initial elevation, sorry, oh my god, I just forgot the name of it because it fell out of my head. The mono time. I can't think of the name of it. When he went through that today, he actually confirmed that you have to adjust it, but he adjusted it for way more than I did. I adjusted it for 3 minutes because that's what Green said. And so that 12:24 that he had at his end ends up being 19. Or 23, sorry. Ends up being 19 when the arrival time was. So a minute and a half after he's finished with Jen, they find 34 Fairview, basically. We know at 12:19 that Ryan Nagel pulls up behind Karen and John, and we know that because of his police report. He tried to avoid putting a time on it when he was on the stand giving testimony, but we know it from the police report. 12:19, John logs, and also because he pulled up behind them, so obviously he arrives at the same time. At 12:19, John moves 7.5 feet, which is around 14 steps. I kind of worked out, other maths involved with the steps, 1.1 feet per second. So he wasn't in a hurry. He had moved away from the car, or he moved, approximately his body length, a little bit more than his body length away from the car, or he moved half that and then back to the car to talk to Karen. She was probably saying, just check, come back and tell me, or whatever. He could have actually just seen the Nagels car and walked to the back of the car and said something to them. We don't know, but we know it was only 7.5 feet approximately. So that all happened at 12:19 in that same minute. And then at 12:20, Higgins sends the text, "Are you coming?" That's also undisputed. And then at 12:21, the 36 steps, where he moves 37 feet, that's more likely moving from the car to the house. But also, at that time, that's when the elevation begins as well. So what I worked out in the elevation is that there is an elevation going up the hill at the front of the house. So from the road to the front door is 1 floor. So that's an elevation whilst he's walking. Thank you, monotonic time. I don't know why that fell out of my head, but yes. So essentially, Whiffen's data matches my data in this. If you want to go watch this video, I can pop the link for you in the description at some stage. Let me just remind me to update the description. Yep. There we go. I got a note on my Discord to do that, so you can all go and have a look at that video. So essentially, the data that Whiffen showed today, which is data we did not have our hands on until today, verifies what I thought was going to happen in a logical order. I only did my calculations in a logical order. I didn't have this data. So logically, Whiffen's data fits what I thought was logical at the time when I did this video. So the slope to the front door of the house, right, street to the front door, uphill, exactly. It's at least 1 floor. I know it's at least 6 feet, but I think it's closer to 10 feet. But also there's 4 steps in front of the house, so that would make it 10 feet approximately. So so the battery temperature I didn't actually include because that came out, I think, like the same day I was making this video, so I didn't actually include the battery temperature. I need to study that a little bit harder because we were only given 1 battery temperature by Brennan in pre-trial, and then in his opening statement, and then today we got, you know, a full list. So I need to study that data and see what it tells us a little bit more closely. So there will be more videos coming out on the data that we saw today. But I just felt, just at first glance, all the data that Whiffen put on the screen today verified that leaving the waterfall to arriving, and when the knockdown happened, it's in this period from this point onwards, from 12:22 onwards, that's when the attack happens. And it's over by, when did I decide it was over by? It's over by, I think it's happening here before it is actually in the process of happening. These are very small steps, these 80 steps, he doesn't move very far. These are very tiny steps, so that seems to me like he imagine whatever's going on at the time. So that's where I think it all goes down, the 24 to 29. 29's when Jen's like, holy shit, we need to find his phone. So very short period of time, but 24 is when I think it all goes down. So Whiffen's to tie a bunch of crap to 24, so it doesn't look like it's all going down at 24. That's essentially what he's been hired to do, and he's not going to get there. Adult Whiffen, Charlie Brown. He does look like a Charlie Brown for sure. Thanks for becoming a member. So yes, we've established that these could be the difference between inside the home and basement temps, right? Hey, Corn Pope, joining us. And sorry, hi Montana, and technically perjury, Dr. Russell's goat. And Juan, thanks for joining us. F-bombs, if I haven't said hello to you, Spoons Mum and Dandy, Lon Solo. God, I forgot to say hello to a bunch of you. James, hey. Colin, hey. Nikki, hey. Strong leg, sorry. Hell, so do you think Whiffen bringing this up could bite him in the ass, Lizzie? I think it's going to bite someone on the ass. I don't know who. Gonna bite someone on the ass. Hopefully him. So if and when for Whiffen, it's convoluted at best, right? So one of the great things is, you know, we don't too far into Alessi crossing him. This is terrific because he totally fucked with the jurors' heads today. They're like, absolutely no fucking idea what you just said. But now Alessi's going to come in on a clean day. They haven't been brain fucked for the last 2 hours. They're going to come in on a clean day. Alessi's going to clean it all up and he's going to make it all make sense. So hopefully, if we're lucky. And if not, then I think there could be, you know, let's mess this up even more so the jury doesn't think about it until our experts on the stand. There could be that. I would probably like to do that. So do we have an X? Do we have an X, Kev? Hang on. Did we put an X in there? Yeah, there's no X, Kev. I'm not sure what you wanted that to be, but no X. If you're looking for my X link, oh my god, we don't have an X link. You want me to add that? Bets on whether Alessi makes Whiffen cry. I don't really have any bets on what Alessi's going to do. Either make it more convoluted and tie Whiffen up in knots so that the juries are completely confused for when their tech expert comes on and says it all very plainly. That could be one way. Or it could be just like let's explain it. But see, I think Whiffen's actually going to try to, like the blood doctor did the other day, make it even more convoluted. So I don't know that now's a good time to try and unconvolute it. I think if I was the defense, I would just be making it even more convoluted so that the jury's scratching their heads and can't make sense of any of it. X? No, rum you asked for. You asked for rum, not X. Oh, I missed the X. Okay. Sorry, I caught the rum, not the X. And rum. All right, let me add the X. Sorry, you gave me a couple of them and I missed the first one. Let me add the X for you. You can test out the rum. I'm pretty sure it's working. All right. X. Bam. Whoops. Oh, hang on. Let me edit that because I messed it up. There you go, Kerry. It's fixed. Got to keep my super mod happy. Now you got the X. Glen Lake. Free Glen. So where were we? We were going through comments. I feel like before the Karen Reid trial persecution, Cellebrite was considered unquestionable evidence in law enforcement. Now, well, here's the thing. I looked this up today, Duck, and I'm just going to call you Duck because your name's too big. But I looked this up today, and I actually found a number of cases where Cellebrite is actually known to flip-flop depending on what the prosecution wants. I've found actually few cases where Cellebrite testifies for the defense. Very few. But I did find a number of cases, one in the US, one in the UK, and even one here in Australia, where they testified for the prosecution and they flip-flop. Like they flip-flop to support whatever the prosecution wants them to say. That's what Cellebrite does. And you got to understand that we're all part of the Five Eyes, and who develops all the software for the Five Eyes? Israel. And who develops the software for Cellebrite? Israel. So the fact that I found Australia, UK, and US cases where they flip-flop, they're all part of Five Eyes. So I think you're getting what I'm putting down here. This is an Israeli company. They support the prosecution because that's what they do. They've got military contracts. They've got government contracts. They know which side their butter's bread. Bread's buttered. Bread's buttered. So that's why you can't trust Cellebrite. If I was Alessia, I would start with how many actual phones did you get data from personally? Right. So one of the things that Whiffen said today was he got Jen's phone data through the Cellebrite app, through the Cellebrite cloud, but he was sent John's data on a thumb drive. Isn't that interesting? Because that's where I would ask him that question. When you got John's data on the thumb drive, were you able to verify it properly? Because he said no. He said no on the stand last time. So we would have to see. I don't want to get butter. I don't want to get political, Glenn. It was just a general statement that's who the two contracts to our militaries and our governments. So they have a vested interest in keeping our militant governments happy without getting political. So, oh, that's awesome, Duck. Happy to hear it. We'll be calling you Duck then. So yeah, I did find a number of cases. Now let me give you the rundown on what those were. Right. A glittering pile of Cellebrite's greatest hits. Cellebrite's track record when forensics becomes storytelling. This is what the AI told me when I was looking it up. I was trying to find some cases that I could demonstrate this with. So in 2021, in a 2021 US case, Cellebrite extracted messages suggesting a suspect was near a crime scene at a given time and date. What wasn't disclosed is the same phone had GPS logs showing the suspect left the area before that crime occurred. The defense only found this after a neutral examiner involved. Our prosecution expert had testified. And so this is how you can get caught out if you don't have, the money to spend and you can't hire the expert, then you're stuck with what they testify to. So as far as misinterpreting tape reliability goes, there was a 2020 UK case that saw a Cellebrite expert confidently testifying about message times until cross-examination revealed that the phone had switched time zones automatically. Half the data by an hour, determining the prosecution's timeline. So did the Cellebrite analysts mention that risk factor in their interpretation of the data? Of course not, until they were forced to admit it under cross-examination. So there was also that case. Now I think there was another case someone brought up where Cellebrite was completely and totally annihilated, but it was a civil case, and that was also in the UK, in a civil case in the UK. No actual phones were harmed in these incidents except Higgy's. That got actually trashed, crushed in the rubbish compactor. I wonder if they have a chain of custody record for the phones and downloads. See, now I believe from the Cellebrite cloud, he could have a chain of custody record. And I've always believed that Jen McCabe screwed that phone up before she handed it over. So always believed that. But that's why a trace was found in the war file, because she didn't know what she was doing. I've always believed that she did it herself. Or, Maddie McCabe was like, delete, delete, delete. So experts are human and can err. True, but they can also mislead on purpose. So, which is what I believe Whiffen's doing. So yeah, and then the last case I think was So I guess probably the most obvious example is right now they're flip-flopping it and trying to use it to convict, what's his name? What is his name? I can't even think of his name for some reason. What's his name that killed his wife? Sorry, he is convicted now, isn't he? And hang on, have I got the right guy? He is convicted now, isn't he? Oh my God, my brain just fell apart. What the hell is his name? Dun, dun, dun. I forget. But you guys know who I'm talking about, right? Walsh. Thank you, Walsh. Thanks for that. Confabulate. That's a good word for it. They There's a lot of words for it, but misleading the jury is probably the one that I would give it. So that's what I think of Whiffen's testimony. Oh, there was one more thing. There was one more thing to talk about with Whiffen's testimony, and it's something that someone brought up. Someone brought up finding a layered 3D scan in Apple devices somehow relates to what Whiffen was saying, but it really doesn't. But I just thought I'd bring it up because it mentions some of the same stuff. Yeah, Brian Walsh, thank you. No, not yet in Walsh, right? Thank you. Thank you. I don't know, my brain just like went to mush on that subject because I haven't actually been following it very close, so I'm not whiffing that. Juan, it doesn't really matter because the timestamp, the tabs actually do get their own identification, and there were two different tab IDs. So it doesn't really matter what she claims. They're two completely different tab IDs. That's going to get smashed when what's his name? I'm just calling him Matty because I can't say his last name. But the other tech expert that defense has hired, he's going to be smashing that one to the ground because it was two different tab IDs. Speaking of Matty, our own Matty's here in the chat. Thanks for joining us, Matt. Matt's OG from way back before we even got into the Karen Reid case, for those who don't know. Okay, so where are we? Blah, 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 blah. I bought a pack of evidence collecting cups for a party today. Good on you, Dandy. All right, where were we? Yes, let's talk about layered 3D scans and what they are, because someone was asking Grok, and Grok come up with this, and I don't think it's actually related. I'm pretty sure it's not, because a layered 3D scan is typically about a combination of sensors like Face ID and LIDAR, for example, or LIDAR, true depth cameras. They build a three-dimensional map of objects, faces, or environments by projecting and analyzing light patterns, but it's not the same secretive background scan that your iPhone is doing to detect whether it is or isn't being covered. It's referring to, well, the true depth scanner sensors in facial recognition, using your phone to log in, basically. It uses infrared light and a dot projector to create a depth map of your face. And this is where the layering comes in. It's multi-depth layers to ensure accuracy. So that's what your Face ID does when you're using that to log into your phone. The LIDAR scanner, or LIDAR, I don't know which way you pronounce it over there, on newer iPhones and iPads, which I think the 2014, the iPhone 14 onwards, I think have LIDAR scanners. Sends out light pulses and measures how long they take to return, and then builds a 3D model and then it can build a 3D model of nearby objects. But this is used primarily for artificial reality apps, because we've got the official AR goggles and shit you can connect to your phones now. So it's for that kind of deal. So Michelle, my second favorite supermod. Only second favorite because she's always working. Otherwise, up there with my first favorite mod, Kevy. You're all my favorite mods. When you hear the mod, you're all my favorites. How's that? To all Aussies, fantastic mods. Thank you, Duck. So, Whiffen's accent. He said button presses. It sounds like butt on. He supports the butt dolls fully. Right. Not E as in I. Okay, LiDAR. Right. LiDAR. What the fuck? Yeah, sorry. You're all my favorites. Boo. You didn't get a demotion. You're still a super mod. It's not quite the same as a demotion. So let me go on with portrait mode. So in portrait, camera depth sensing might be used there as well. It uses dual cameras or sensors to simulate depth by layering image data. So that's what your 3D layering is generally referring to. It is not related to Doppler states, not even remotely. They're two completely different things. So in the layered 3D scan, it uses light or infrared LiDAR camera sensors, whereas Doppler uses wireless signals, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Go figure. Essentially, the purpose of the layered 3D is facial recognition or AR, if you want AR goggles, or photography. Whereas the purpose of Doppler is inferring device context or environment. And the layered 3D scan is triggered by user actions like Face ID in the camera. Sorry, it just went dry. Coffee. Sorry. Give me one sec. Need to wet my throat. Okay, whereas a Doppler is actually a passive system monitoring signal behavior. So it's passive where 3D layered 3D is triggered by the user actions. The Doppler is actually in the background monitoring. So, and as far as the hardware goes, layered 3D is using the true depth camera and LiDAR scanner, whereas hardware in the Doppler states is measuring wireless radio and proximity sensors. So two completely different systems measuring two completely different things. So even if Whiffen wants to say, oh no, that's what I meant, he's still wrong. So there you go. Radio waves can be triangulated. Multiple camera lenses can be used per se, layman's terms. Like, I think you're talking about the visual triangulation of distance is what you're talking about, yes. And that's what they were saying as in the last example that I was just giving. So the portrait mode camera depth sensing, where you can use dual cameras to simulate depth by layering the image data. That's what you're talking about there. So hey Tommy, where are you? You're home. You're back again. So for those who didn't catch it, I was on Tommy's stream earlier. Well, not on his stream, I was in his chat earlier, helping to keep the chat flow going while he was out driving around. So good to see you, Tommy. Yeah, so in level crossings railway, LiDAR is used for a lot of stuff. It's used for leveling. It's used for what was the last thing I was looking up LiDAR for? I think it might have been actually to do with leveling our block, actually, that you could use LiDAR for that. Maybe, I don't know, for some reason oh, I know what it was. I know the last time I looked up LiDAR was do you remember the fires in Maui? they were doing LiDAR flyovers like the week of those fires. So that was the last time I was looking up LiDAR. From meteorology, right. I understand looking for the baby's heartbeat in the mother's womb is another one as well. That uses Doppler as well. You're welcome. Well, I'm not always there, Tommy. I've let you down a few times, but I'm trying to be there for you now because I know you're down a man. You're one man short, so I totally slept in today and missed like the first 2 hours of the day. So light spectrum, exactly. So a lot of things use Doppler, right, Tommy? A lot of things. So, and weather forecasts, they use Doppler as well. And then, gee, where else have I seen it? Military use radar as well. They use Doppler radar as well to see if there's, aircraft out there and so on. Boats, I'm pretty sure boats use it for on depth sounders, don't they? Isn't that the same thing? So spotting fish and shit like that. Mapping and surveying, yes. That's what they were doing over Maui the week of the fires. So, yep. Doppler, hardly knew her. All right. So, yeah, I thought that was worth raising because if you do ask Grok, you'll probably get something along those lines. That, essentially might lead you off track and confuse you if you're talking about pocket state. That doesn't have anything to do with pocket state. It's usually to do with AR and facial recognition. So for pulse, there you go. There's another one. Multi-channel Doppler, there's another one. It's like looking underwater. The new stuff is amazing, right? So in the multi-channel Doppler, they can actually tell you when there's a group of fish under your boat or a coral reef, like with bits sticking out, which are not necessarily solid when they're in their live state. So things like that. So yeah, it's getting way more techie and covering a lot more different fields now, but it has nothing to do with the actual camera. So Doppler state detection relies on radio frequency analysis to infer device context based on signal behavior, whereas all this other stuff is not related to that. So the other crossover that could actually cause some confusion, because Whiffen did hint at it, and that's light sensor, the ambient light sensor. That could cause a little bit of confusion because it can contribute to context detection of the Doppler, but it's not the Doppler state. So it's not the same thing, but it can contribute to decisions that the Doppler's recording, basically, or data that the Doppler's recording from making decisions out of all the things that it's looking at. So the Doppler state's primarily tied to wireless signal and how those signals behave when you're moving, obstruction, or stationary. So you're thinking signal attenuation or frequency shifts. Frequency shift is the classic Doppler effect, right? And reflections or blockages. So I understand that you can get reflections and blockages just in a regular snow, not even storm, it's just snowing lightly, you can get it there. But you can also get it in a storm, like a lot more drastically, frequency shifts and all sorts of things, blockage in a total storm. But then when you're talking blizzard, you're talking, complete blackout. But we know it wasn't a blizzard at midnight. Their own freaking library footage shows you the blizzard wasn't at midnight. At most, it was a light sprinkling of snow happening. There wasn't even any wind gust behind it. So Tommy can tell us what type of fish. He targets bass. I can tell the difference between a bass and a pickerel at 100 feet looking at the screen. That's clever. That's very clever. But essentially, that's what they're doing. That's what those rescue people are doing out there, floating around on lakes and shit, trying to find missing people in crashed cars and shit. So there was one mob doing it, which I won't mention their name because they're now disgraced, but there's a bunch of other people doing it now, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're using the LiDAR to the LiDAR to detect Brennan's bullshit. Oh, it's so funny. They're using the LiDAR on lakes and riverbeds and all sorts of things now to find, crashed cars to see if there's people still in them. So Google hummingbird side scan and then look at forward facing sonar. All right, I'll do that in a second. Thank you for the memberships, Michelle. Tommy, you got a membership. Lisa Reed, you got a membership. Hanky Brennan's binky. He so needed that today, didn't he? Right. Watched a glass stream once. QAnon level. Yep. Who else got one? Brennan's body chalk. What? There's some pretty clever handles being used. Tanya, you got one. And Nanny of 11. Holy crap. That's a lot of nannies. That's a lot of grandchildren. You got a membership. Janelle, you got a membership. Aussie Steve got one. And Susan Bucky. Welcome to the memberships. All right. Where are we? Just going through the notes, just to talk about. All right. So yeah, we were sort of tying what the ambient light sensor actually has to do with any of the Doppler data, and so the ambient light sensor, its main purpose is to auto adjust brightness auto adjust brightness on your screen, like knowing when to dim the screen or make it lighter. And it's also related to power saving behavior. But Apple and other device makers combine multiple sensors to improve context awareness. So you could have some of those heuristics involved in things like, am I in a pocket? The phone wants to know, am I in a pocket? Is it dark because I'm in a bag or because it's nighttime? Should I disable accidental touch inputs? Those are the kinds of things that you might be using the ambient light sensor for. But this could also be used as sensor fusion, like using the sensors together to make an educated guess about something to do with the phone's environment. So you could actually combine proximity sensor, ambient light sensor, accelerometer, and your wireless radio signal to give you an educated guess about something to do with the phone's environment. But you'll note I said educated guess because that's what it is. So essentially, Whiffen is only making educated guesses based on this stuff, because that's all you can do with it. So if the Bluetooth signal weakens, that's your Doppler interference, your proximity sensor detects something close to the screen, and the ambient light sensor reports near total darkness, then you might be able to call that state as in a pocket or obstructed. But that's a multi-sensor decision. It's not a Doppler one. It includes it includes a Doppler sensor as well as a proximity sensor, as well as the ambient light sensor. So that's where you would fuse. That would be a fusion of the sensors to trigger a state of being in a pocket or whatever. So so when Whiffen says, the phone said pocket because Doppler plus ALS plus proximity proves it was covered, therefore camera covered, therefore O'Keefe was outside. That's total nonsense. The ALS can tell you it's dark, but we know he got there at night, so that doesn't prove anything. It doesn't tell you what's causing the darkness. And the Doppler effect doesn't care about light. It's all about radio waves, although radio waves could travel faster at night or further at night, I think it is. But none of this tells you a camera lens was covered. So, right, Glenn, it's a multi-sensor decision. So, Bev is naughty. She is naughty, right? I'm curious, Tommy says, speaking of, how many times did Karen call, text, leave voicemail? Those functions take battery power. I know my phone goes from dim to light at night when it rings. How much power use? And that's going to depend on a whole bunch of shit, Tommy. Like, if you've had your phone a couple of years, you'll know that it holds power like for less time. Depends on how old his battery is, but it also depends on his settings. So you can adjust your power saver mode. If you just had it on, stock standard mode, how it ships, OEM settings, then that's probably its best power saving. But he might have adjusted those. So these are just so many variables that we can't nail down unless we actually have the phone in our possession to look at what the settings are. So do those functions use, and do they have impact on Apple Pocket State with those events? See, Apple Pocket State's a different thing to Doppler. Apple Pocket State is really just to stop butt dials and accidental activation of things. That's all it's for. In the developer's manual, that's all that Apple Pocket State means. Excuse me, I've got to wet my throat again. We'll come back to the battery temp chart. Did I answer your question to a satisfactory degree, Tommy? None of those functions has anything to do with Pocket State. So what he is referring to as Pocket State, by Apple's own documentation, has nothing to do with what he's attributing to it. Yeah, battery degradation, right. So, like my laptop, I think most Apple devices give it to you, but my laptop can tell me battery state. I'll see if I can share it and show you my battery state. Compared to when it was new, my battery, let me find my battery state. And I'll see if I can share this screen. I might not be able to. Battery health, here we go. Condition normal. Maximum capacity 85%, optimized battery charging. So those are the options that I get for my battery state. And I'm trying to share it, but I don't think it's letting me. place the sharing screen. Let me see if this works. Oh, you can see it. There you go. Hopefully I don't give away like too much about my, my Apple here. But that's what we see, right? See, battery condition normal. So essentially, hide that fucker so I can get in here. Mac batteries, like all rechargeable batteries, are consumable components that become less effective as they age. So it tells you right there. So to reduce battery aging, your Mac learns from your daily charging routine, so it can wait to finish charging past 80% until you need to use it on battery. So the Mac's got it, the Mac does, but also most Apple devices have these features built into them. So these are a lot of settings. You know, you can turn this on and off. You can change in here. You can change whether it's on high power, low power, whatever power you want for your batteries. So there's just too many variables. But it depends. Was it on OEM or whatever? I don't know. Too many variables for Whiffen to be making, you know, forensic bloody conclusions out of it, basically. So I think Pocket State will come into play with Jen's phone. Hint, hint. Right. Because that's what it's designed to do. Pocket State, in the sense that Apple uses it in the developer documentation when you're developing an app. Pocket State is what you test so that you don't accidentally butt dial, or you don't accidentally open another app while you're trying to run your app. So how about that, Michelle? How about that? And that's another good thing, another good point. Tommy and I talked about that today. So that your battery temperature in the cold is way different. In fact, I want to have a verbal conversation with Tommy about that, because you guys see him out there on the sidewalk day in, day out. He's out there on the sidewalk. He's been in all sorts of temperatures, both high and low, with his batteries. And he has to do certain things with his batteries in order to retain the charge in the cold, to stop his equipment overheating in the hot. So Tommy and I need to have a big long conversation about that. And if you are there, Tommy, and you got time, you should come up and have a big conversation about that. I can send you a link if you want to come up and talk about that, because nobody knows better than Tommy, like, the trouble that you can have in all those different extreme weather events, because he's been out there in it in all different varieties. So right, it slows down the chemical reaction in the battery, right? Because these are usually lithium batteries, aren't they? Yep, totally have to work with batteries in the cold. You got time to come and talk about it? Give us a rundown on, like, what you have to do, Tommy? Send me a link. All right, you're in. Now sending you a link. There you go. Come and tell me, or come and sit on Grandma's knee and tell me all about it. All right, guys, he'll be here in a jiffy. But this is a very interesting conversation that we'll have, because, as I said, he's been out in all sorts of weather. He's been out there in the rain. He's been out there in the snow. He's been out there in the stinking hot sun at 150 degrees. No, I don't know what temperatures they get up to there, but he'll tell us, I'm sure. Here he is. Tommy, thanks for joining us. How are we going?
Wonderful. Couldn't be better.
Nice.
How are you?
I'm
Having a
good.
good day?
I'm having a good day. My day started great. Straight onto your stream and brain into action before anything else was.
I I just tuned that guy out, Ian Whiffen. I can't listen to him. He
I
tells
have
me
to
all sorts of
listen to
stuff
him.
that it doesn't move the needle for me. It doesn't tell me how he got there. He's just saying, "Yep, I got out of this file."
Right.
Like, no.
So tell us, like, you had to have your equipment and spare batteries and everything in all sorts of weather.
Oh my
And
God, yes.
you've
Yep.
had charging problems, running out of battery sooner than you thought problems, and you get the battery home, that's fine. Run us through like the different types of weather and the different things you have to do to stay on top of it.
The cold, first off, is vicious on any device.
Yep.
Whether it's, a spare phone that's just in your pocket, like
Yep.
your back pocket in the cold, not in like an inside pocket. This is when it's cold out, cold out. If you're wearing a pair of jeans, put in the back pocket, right? Half the phone's warm to your contact. The other half is as cold as the wind is, right?
So you want to have your battery inwards on your body if you're gonna keep it warm.
The the more you can keep the phone out of the element, the better you're at. The better off you're at. If you can wear earbuds and then put a hat on,
Yeah.
keep your ears warm, right? The
Yeah.
earbuds will last. In the phone, you just put in your pocket, and the phone you'll be okay with it, right?
Right.
But the minute you take your phone and bring it outside, the power, you can watch it just decrease almost in real time.
Right.
And then when you plug it in, right, to charge it up,
Yep.
if that battery pack is in your pocket that's outside, like an outside pocket, not an inside pocket, an outside pocket.
Yep.
When you plug the phone in, you stay level. You don't gain any charge. Like, it'll keep it from going down another percent or another number.
Yeah.
So I'll be at like 40%. And I'll go, by the time I get it plugged in, I'm at
So it's
30%.
charging as quick as it's losing at the same.
And I'm just barely staying even.
Yeah.
Right. So with a warm battery, I can plug in and I can almost stay charged. I'll come down at the end of the day if I keep the battery inside me and my phone protected. I don't know. I could probably
How do you keep the
all
phone
day.
inside your jacket while you're filming? Like that can't be easy.
I can't do that. But my other phone that I have, I keep that one in my jacket. I have two phones. I have a S22 and an S24. I keep the 22 in my pocket and the 24 running.
Yeah. I gotcha.
And then when the 24 goes, I'll switch over to the other one that's on a hotspot, and I'll take that one, plug it in, and put it inside against my shirt, inside my t-shirt, and it'll warm up the phone and the battery, and it'll bring the temperature up enough that it'll accept the charge, and but you'll never get a phone to 100% in the cold. No way.
Right. That's my daughter has that problem, and we don't even get snow here, so it doesn't get that cold.
And it doesn't take a lot for that battery to start going south on you, really. Like,
right. She
doesn't.
can't get hers to charge past 80%, like in the winter, but she can get it to charge like 85%, I guess, in the summer, but not in the winter. And it doesn't get that cold here. Like I said, it doesn't snow here. It gets frosty. It gets cold enough and frosty, but not snowy.
I'll tell you this, though. There's no way that John O'Keefe's phone was underneath him. There's no way. Because you know what? John O'Keefe, his body, with the blood loss, would have brought the blood internal to himself, right? Into his core.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he would have been warming it up if the phone was underneath him. It doesn't work like that.
Because it's on the cold ground.
It's on the cold ground. It's not a warm body. The
Right.
body's not warm. Your internals are warm. Your body brings your core, the blood back into your core
Yeah.
to protect yourself, right?
Yeah.
So there's not, you're not warm. People think you're not. You're as cold as the ground is.
So what's the opposite effect in summer? What are the issues that you have with your battery in summer? Just to give the extra.
I overheat something fierce because I have it in a case. I have to take it out of the case.
Yep.
Or it's done. My phone's shut off many times in the summer from being way overheat.
Right.
I actually have to drive sometimes without the window to cool down.
Yeah. And that's specifically because of the battery?
Definitely because of the battery. Yep.
There you go.
It can't regulate that temperature. And I was looking at the temperatures that he was saying. He's reading 109, 122, 141. Those are working temperatures. There's no way a cell phone's 141 degrees.
Yeah.
No. A phone there's a thermal part to a phone. Comes to a certain point where it thermally shuts off. Every phone has a thermal. Find out what that thermal point is, because one of the temperatures I got, I was converting
That's what
Celsius
Michelle
to
was just
Fahrenheit.
saying. Hers
Yeah.
makes a god awful warning tone and blacks out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's a Samsung, I think she's talking about.
But I got 141 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot. Like, no, you're not touching anything that's 100 degrees. His phone didn't get that hot.
Mm-hmm.
So something's wrong with those numbers. That either it's me or it's him.
How
Probably me.
How can they reconcile the phone being at ambient temperature, like inside a warmed house, when they're going to also claim that the ground was frozen solid? So how are they going to reconcile those two things?
If John got out of Karen's car with his phone in his hand, from that point on, if that phone didn't go downhill, and I'm talking vertical, not a slope, if that phone didn't go downhill in battery power, it wasn't outside. There's no way, no how, cannot happen.
Right.
I'll do. I
don't even think his chart. He showed two charts. He showed the data, and then he showed a dot chart, a plotted chart. But I don't feel like his plotted chart actually showed what he's done, what he showed us on the spreadsheet.
He had great colors though. The colors just kind of threw me for a loop.
The spreadsheet showed it was just going down towards the middle, and then it came back up like that in numbers. But when he put the chart up on the screen, that's not what we saw on the chart. We saw it go up and then come down a little and then drop a lot and then come back up a lot. So that's not what his data look like. So I'm just wondering where he pulled this data from to do the plot chart. But I'm going to get those values off the screen and put them into a spreadsheet and demonstrate what the hell I'm talking about. I just don't feel like his plotted chart matched the data that he put up before it. So,
if John didn't have a case protector on his phone, and that's kind of important here, right? If he didn't have a case protector and that phone was downstairs with him on the cellar floor, you'd see that temperature drop pretty much that same way.
So you mean on the basement floor? Yeah. Or even on the garage floor?
Or any floor, any concrete floor. If it was outside, it wouldn't be like, it would be vertical. It would just go to zero.
Plummet. It would plummet.
Yes. And it would plummet faster as it got down. Like it would almost say, I give up and go to zero. Just the batteries seem like they get to a certain point. They're like, I'm not being a battery no more. I quit.
I quit.
Good luck. It's too cold. There's a working temperature for them. And I've been in all them ranges. And they have that for a reason,
His plot shot looked like taillight pieces.
I know, huh? Yeah. I didn't want to go there.
Right. So I've actually known about all of these battery issues, like ever since I first owned a laptop, I've had nothing but freaking battery issues because we live in a really hot climate and we have such extremes between the hot and the cold. So, yeah, I've had nothing but battery issues with every laptop I've ever owned, and I'm not surprised it's the same with phones. The only reason I don't have so much experience with phones is it's only been the last couple of years that I've actually had a phone glued to me and had to worry about it. Before that, I was like really bad. I'd lose them. I'd leave them in a car. They just never were with me.
Yeah.
So,
Water is horrible to get in the charging port because once it gets into the port, you can't dry it out. There's too much. Unless you use like a hair dryer or put it in rice. There's too
Yeah.
much. There's too much water in the air to get the once it's wet. You can't dry it out. There's no way to get it dry, so you can't
right.
charge your phone. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
So it was snowing out prior. The phone would have been on the ground, and I'm pretty sure it would have got wet.
Here's another. Right. I was going to ask you that. Here's the other. He's warm body, cold ground, phones in between. Isn't that going to cause condensation?
But wait a minute. You're assuming that's a warm body, right?
Well, I'm just doing a scenario, like a
Yeah.
hypothetical scenario. If they're claiming warm body, cold phone, cold ground, and the phone's
Yep.
sandwiched between them, isn't that going to cause condensation?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely will. And the phone will die. Like I don't know how they charged it. I don't how's that happen? Like how'd they get the data off it? They just didn't go and plug it in. But the phone had to be dead when they got it.
Well, they didn't get the data off it till months later, so it wouldn't surprise me if it had dried out by then.
I guess. I don't trust anything that they've touched.
I
just
trust
don't.
anything they
I don't.
say, do, or show us.
Oh my God.
Period.
And this guy's here on the stand trying to show us. And I'm not buying it. I'm
Mm-mm.
not buying it.
But I'm trying to think of it also from the jury's point of view because they don't know what we know. So
And that's a problem. That's a big problem. But they all have cell phones. They all live in New England, right? I mean, if someone I pray they ask someone, have you ever taken your phone, put it in your back pocket, went out and shoveled the driveway, come back in, your phone's dead?
yeah.
Like what happened? And the questions I was asking, right? With the Doppler in the screen state, whatnot, pocket state. The pocket state just shuts the screen off to prevent accidental dialing.
Yeah. The pocket state is a glorified screensaver, really.
Disables the screen until you activate it and you turn it back on, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's the pocket state. But the Doppler is a different thing altogether.
Right. If the phone's in a pocket state, when Karen calls John's phone, does the phone light up? Does it vibrate? Those two things are two different things that take battery power.
Yeah.
So Karen calling John, I don't know how many times, if he was outside and that phone was outside and that phone was ringing and the phone was getting voicemails, the phone was getting texts and ringing and voicemails, texts ringing, lighting up, not lighting up, lighting up, not lighting up, voicemail, text, ba-ding, ba-ding. Phone was dead in a matter of 45 minutes to an hour. Doesn't last past that. Any data past that, outside in that temperature, bad data. Didn't come from outside. Phones don't work like that. Not in New England. But then again, it is Canton. So wait a minute. I could be wrong, right?
Let me just do a quick search on this. Out of pocket state. Come on. Stop with the spelling errors. Let me just do a quick search on this. So I'm just asking, I'm in the Apple developer. I actually do have a developer account. So I'm just looking at, does an incoming call take the phone out of pocket state?
Thank you. You're understanding what I'm saying, right?
I do.
Because all those calls and texts and voicemails, man, that phone was burning up and it was done.
So the phone enters a pocket state when something is very close to the proximity center, it enters into pocket state. When something is very close to the proximity center and it's very dark and it's optionally moving in a way that suggests it's being carried. When it leaves the pocket state, that's when
So it's using the accelerometer at the same time?
it optionally could be, yes.
It has to be to find out where the phone's moving. It's going to be tracking.
Correct. But you can also have it, you can also have something close to it and be very dark without it moving. It still will enter a pocket state with that. But then once it's moving, then that's the trifecta, we're in pocket state. So leaving the pocket state occurs when the proximity sensor detects no object nearby, or these are ors, not ands, if you understand what I'm saying here.
Mm-hmm.
The proximity sensor detects no object nearby, or the ambient light increases above a given threshold, or motion is inconsistent with being carried. So these are or. So any one of those things could happen to bring it out of a pocket state. So does receiving an incoming call clear the pocket state? No, not automatically. So receiving a call alone does not magically reset the pocket state. It doesn't force the proximity or ambient light sensor to reassess. The phone simply rings, whether it's in your hand or in your pocket, under a couch or a cushion, or in a handbag. The pocket state persists until the sensor inputs change. And those sensor inputs would be the proximity sensor, the ambient light increases. You pull it out of, so the proximity sensor, you reach into your handbag and grab it, or you're pulled it out of the bag and it registers a different lighting.
Or you got to reach for it. It knows it's going to be, you're coming to get it.
Right.
If it's using Doppler.
Right. So the phone simply rings, whether it's in your hand or in your pocket, under a couch or a cushion or in a handbag. The pocket state persists until a sensor input changes. If the phone is sitting in the dark with something close to it and a call comes in, it will still be considered in pocket state. Only if someone picks up the phone, moves it, or exposes it to light would it potentially clear that state. And when we say exposes it to light, we are not talking about the camera. We are talking about the ambient light sensor. It's a different thing on the phone to the camera. Did I? I said it with a Boston accent. Or
Getting it.
So the critical distinctions, okay? So let me put this up on the screen. Let me get this on the screen so you can see what I'm reading out here. Replace screen sharing with that, and then switch over to screen sharing. See that?
Yep.
Let me just put me and Tommy next to it.
Incoming call and movement and light exposure. It may.
When the action is an incoming call with no movement or exposure, it stays in pocket state. When you got an incoming call and movement and light exposure, it may exit the pocket state. Answering.
Oh, wait a minute. So if somebody calls and you pick your phone up and turn it upside down, so if it's face down, if it's an incoming call, you pick it up and you turn it around, that changes the light exposure. That may exit the pocket state.
Yep. Answering the call and holding it to your ear, it may still be in pocket state, but the proximity sensor detects the face. So that might trigger it if you detect the face. So, whoops, sorry. The phone is still lying in darkness, so it remains in the pocket state indefinitely. So the phone's just, that's what we would have seen if nobody was using his phone.
Correct.
Indefinite pocket state.
Yes. Yep.
Carol M, my phone battery just died because we were talking about it, right?
So people that think like let me tell people about batteries. Buy a Tesla and think you never have to worry about batteries, and then that'll absolutely change in 10 years. See what
Right.
happens.
Right. Paul says in
They don't
extreme
last
cold
forever.
below
Yeah.
0, a phone may shut down as the battery struggles to function. No. Well, it is, yes. It actually will shut down. That's what Tommy was saying in his experience. He's
It'll
had
go to the battery go to 0, the phone will shut down. End of story.
Yeah.
It just goes to 0. The battery goes to absolute 0.
which is the whole point of having Tommy on here. So because he's had this experience and we've been on live streams watching him when it happens.
Too many times, man. And you know, it's not like I didn't come with full charge batteries, right? I don't get out of the car with my phone not charged. It you go outside, it doesn't matter. All bets are off. The minute you go outside, it's just it's vicious on the phones and the batteries for that matter.
We need to stop expecting Apple and Lexus to come to their own defense. They're never going to do it. All right. You have experts who talk on these topics because they're experienced in Apple or Lexus, but they are not going to come and represent themselves in court. That ain't going to happen. So
I remember remember Microsoft MCE certification. Remember that?
yes.
Remember the books and the technical documents you had to read?
Oh my God. Yes.
People don't want to go down that road.
No.
No. But yeah, people have discussions. There are people smarter than us talking about this stuff, about the new version of software they're going to make for the new iPhone or the new Galaxy. It's out there. They're going to do also. What they're doing is they're capturing more data every time a new version of software comes out. So what we're talking about now may be void when the new phone comes out or a new version of software comes out, because it could all change. We don't know the new version.
Right. Exactly. So when Whiffen implied the fact that at 5:52 a.m. John's phone was in the pocket state during a phone call, proves that the camera was covered and he was outside. It doesn't. It's false. All it proves is that when the call came in, the proximity and ambient light conditions were consistent with pocket mode. It does not tell us anything about where he was alive, where he was, whether he was alive, moving, outside, inside, or whether the camera was specifically covered or not. If the phone was face down inside a house or jammed under a jacket or even just left somewhere dark and close to fabric or furniture, it would register exactly the same. Whiffen is treating pocket state like it's a CCTV recording of John's last movement, and in reality, it is a dumb battery-saving heuristic. It's not smart at all.
There you go.
So,
yeah, see, my phone, if I shut the screen off, to me, that puts my phone in a pocket state. Can't butt dial, can't do anything. It's pretty much safe. But if I get a call, the screen lights up and the keypad lights up. So those are all different functions. So I just didn't know what calls out to it being in that pocket state that he referred to.
Right, because he was confusing what the pocket state actually is. So just to add on to what Strongleg says here, but the power level usually has depleted. That's because of the chemical makeup of the lithium battery. So it does lose power because of the cold. So it changes the chemical structure. So yes. So yeah, that's cleared that up, hasn't it?
Yep. I don't believe the phone was outside anyway.
No,
No
well,
way.
the temperature certainly shows that.
So yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm interested to those Celsius numbers that he was referring to, because when you do the conversion, the numbers, there's no way. There's no way. If my phone gets that hot, it's shutting down.
Do you want some conversion? I can do some conversion if you like. Let me see if I can find it first. Hang on. I'll switch it back to this screen. Talk to people while I find it, and I'll put it up and we'll do some conversion. How's that?
There you go. That works. Let's see what else. Yeah, and again, we don't know the settings of the phone, right? Was vibrate on, right? It did he have a special ringtone?
Right, those will drain the battery.
Yep.
Holy shit, I can't even find one. Yours is probably the best stream. Hang on. Let's go to yours. You didn't talk.
No, I was just kind of writing
So-
stuff down. Couldn't believe it. I was just going, huh?
Let's see if I can find it. I dragging the wrong thing. Come on now.
And I did.
Right. Frames. Wall frames. Right. All right. Last record clear. I think it was before that, wasn't it? Doppler. I've got the Doppler states. Was it before or after Doppler where he talked about that stuff?
I want to say
After the Doppler.
I don't remember. Damn it.
I'm looking. Whoa. Okay, it was before that. So let's go before that. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, this is where he's talking about the monatomic. That's talking about the flight, the stairs climbed. All right, I'm getting close to it. I'm nearly there. Court will resume. Was it before the break? Maybe.
I think it was. So I just did this, right? If your phone reaches 140 degrees Fahrenheit, here are the potential consequences. Are you ready?
Yep.
Overheating. The phone may become too hot to touch, causing discomfort. Battery damage. High temperatures can degrade the battery health and reduce lifespan. Performance throttling. Your phone will definitely slow down to prevent further overheating. Automatic shutdown. It may shut down to protect its internal components. That's that thermal I was talking about. Screen damage, data loss, hardware failure, fire hazards. In some cases, poses a fire risk. Warranty void. That's just at 140 degrees of a phone.
There you go. All right. It must have been after the break because this streaming, everyone's streaming just ended. I'm not getting any clues on the screen as to what's freaking where on the timeline.
Let me take a peek. Did you look before the break?
I did. It's not before the break because I woke up and he was doing the GPS data. So it's after the break. I think it's before Alessi starts questioning him, actually. I think it's like the last thing that he covers is the temperatures, right?
It was definitely before Alessi did that.
Yep. So we've got the location data and the app temp. I'm kind of getting close. I think this is actually, let me go back to the screen share. Hang on. Share this tab. All right. This is where Alessi's talking to him, isn't it? Let me just turn up the volume.
With Face ID. And again, I'll point out that makes perfect sense if the Doppler state clears.
You put that up on the screen at a good time. So it must be just before this.
I'm looking.
For around 11 seconds, a phone call is made.
No, I can't find it now.
The biometric. See how he's putting everything separate on it. He's isolating everything away from the other data, so you can't see the order that should happen.
And look at the time. Military time.
Right. Well, most of the data comes off in Here we go. That's what we were after.
Boom.
That's exactly what we were after. So there's your Celsius and there's your Fahrenheit. So if you're familiar with your Fahrenheit, you're looking at the right side of that.
I
And-
thought he said 60 Celsius at one point. Why do I have 60 Celsius written down here?
16.
60. Maybe he said 16 with his accent. I heard him wrong. Maybe.
Yeah, because there's 16 here twice and 6 here twice.
Okay.
So do you want to hear what he says about this, like from the top?
Yeah, I'd like to.
But apparently not like that. There we go.
Thank you.
I'm sure I was blabbing away in the chat.
So on the evening of the 29th, the 28th, see an average temperature of around mid 80 degree Fahrenheit.
So this is normal.
All right.
I've got no understanding of where the device was at this time, whether
So this is normal, and he's inside one of the bars during these hours, right?
Yep.
it was in a pocket on a surface, whether it was in use or not. But I just wanted to get an average idea of temperatures of the device. By 13 minutes after midnight.
So at this point, they're in the car and they're traveling. They've just got in the car. They probably sat in there for a minute or two, and then they got on the road because they were behind Jen. They arrived after Jen. So I had to work that out in my timeline video, how we got back to 13, where they were just leaving the Waterfall Bar car park.
We're still at 82 Fahrenheit. At 22 minutes after midnight, we know from the location data that the device was currently in a car.
Stepped out of the car.
We see the temperatures.
So at 24, so between 22 and 24, the beat up started happening at 24. So he's out of the car walking inside. That's that temperature drop.
Yep.
Everything else from here, hell, who knows?
Dropped to 77 Fahrenheit. By 37 minutes after
22,
midnight,
basement.
we now know the device is already at Fairview. It's been at Fairview.
Really, the temperature drop from getting out of the car. So we know he arrived at 19. That 13 to 19 is the drive. And then the 22 is when he walks across the lawn and that elevation starts being registered. By 37, he's already gone. He's already incapacitated.
Yep. And how cold do you think the foundation is? About 50 degrees, maybe?
Right. And the fact that it's dropping and dropping and dropping up till 1:30, this is obviously the staging site.
Boom.
Where he's out being staged. So
yep.
This time from here to here, they're doing shit.
All right. Where's the time? It goes from
72 Fahrenheit to 43.
That's 1 hour 36 in 6 hours and 6 minutes to the left.
That's 1 a.m. 1:36 a.m. 1:07.
Okay. Where's the battery temperature after that?
After 1 a.m., it's gone. 6:06 is the next time it comes up. But the thing about the 1:36, when did he turn off his? When was he supposed to have turned off his phone? I thought that was way back here at midnight, like at 12:30 a.m. He turned his phone off. So how is all of this getting registered?
Yeah.
So do you
1:36 in the morning and then 6:06? You're telling me it stayed at 50 degrees for 5 hours?
Well, it only drops a little to 43.
No way. No. In 5 hours?
In 5 hours.
No.
4.5. Yeah, it is 5 hours. Yeah.
No, it doesn't work that way. See how it's degrading?
No. How long are you outside before your battery dies in the snow? Give us a
instant. if I go outside at 100% and it's snowing out, 32 degrees. I'm at 90% by the time I'm outside of my car, situated to shut the door.
Yeah.
It's going right down. It's horrible. And now I'm
Well,
streaming. I'm using the phone, so
if
that's
it was
different. I'm
outside,
using it.
Paul, I don't think this is true. Even though that's what he said, I very much doubt it's true for the reasons that Tommy and I just stated. Whether he caused condensation by landing on top of his phone, if you want to take their theory, or they pulled it from the snow and then Kerry stuck it in her pocket, kept it in her pocket, and then gave it to the police, that's still sudden warmth.
And
So
it's
there's
still wet.
condensation. So there's
It's
no
still
way
wet.
they turned it
Yeah.
on straight away.
Yeah, no.
So I'm pretty sure that's a lie. So yeah, like we know that he's incapacitated by this stage. And that's probably the basement temperature, right? 72.
Look at 7 o'clock in the morning. What time? Look at the temperature. 61
16.
degrees. Yeah, 61 degrees, right?
61, yeah. Where is it at 7 o'clock in the morning? By then it's been given to one of the drivers, like the AMBO or one of the first responders, because we can't work out who.
6:40, it's 50 degrees. At 6:35, it's 43. I don't know if you can warm a phone up
That's
like
when Kerry reckons she picked it up. How did it lose temperature
Well,
when she picked it up?
it's real easy to look at the timestamp from the time the police cruiser's footage is there, right?
Right. I need to do some more studying on these times and temperatures because
How long do they query? Like, what's the battery query? Is it
the
every
battery what?
how often does it report back? Battery. When
A
does the battery
query.
report? When's this database get updated? That Z object.
No, do you have it on your phone? Can you see inside your phone what your battery temperatures and shit?
Let me check. Let me go get it.
All right, so I think we need to put this back into a timeline with all the other stuff that he showed us on the screen, which he has separated out of the timeline. That's what I think we need to do to make sense of a logical order of information, because I feel like this has been screwed with as well.
My current temperature is 99.1 degrees. The health of the battery is good. Lithium ion status discharging.
Right. So
I'll
how often does it update? Maybe watch the discharging to see when the next tick over happens.
It's got to be figure the setting, right? There should be a setting here. I didn't write this.
If there's a setting, then it's really hard to tell what he had set for querying the battery.
You know what? I can go back in time. I can show you.
Nice.
I think I can show you when it was cold out.
You should plug her in and share the screen.
I'm not sure my phone can do that. Let me see. Screen recorder, link to Windows. Can I do that? Well, link to my computer. No.
There you go.
Battery usage 231%. Screen on time, screen off. What apps are taking it?
You're just getting into the cold weather there now, aren't you?
The more we're getting warmer as we go.
Oh.
Um,
What does your history look like for the battery?
It only goes back to the 22nd. So my history goes back just like a week, and it just shows when it wasn't being used, when it was being used, when it was charged, and then it discharged to nothing. Then when I plugged it in, it charged up to the top, and then it slowly went down again. And I charged it up, and then it went down.
Okay, so here's another question. How long does your phone last if you're not using it? How long does your phone battery last if it's just sitting there in standby mode?
Oh boy, that's a great question.
Mine lasts for like friggin' days.
I think my other phone, the one that's not connected to any apps or anything, if it's just like a secondary phone, like a backup,
Yeah.
that'll last a good day and a half, maybe 2 days.
Yeah, that's about what I get out of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're using the phone, forget it. Like just the usage alone. And that's why I'm curious about, like Karen was just beating that phone up all night long. I'm curious to know how much that usage depleted the battery. Right, right from that, right?
Right. Yeah, well I can use, one of my apps on my phone and burn up my battery in 2 hours. It's gone.
Right. So, and then you add the weather to it, and it's even faster.
Right.
What if I can find something
Hi,
else?
Suzanne. Thanks for joining us. Right. So
proxy background image charging. Yeah. Settings. I get fast charging. I don't get Galaxy doesn't let me like hyper change my settings as Apple does. You can go into Apple and change a setting and then change that setting that you changed. On my phone, it's what they give you. Yeah, no.
let me see if I can pull some Apple sensor behavior diagrams. The ones showing how ambient light and proximity affect screen management.
I mean, and we're actually talking about battery management, right? What things call out to process power,
right? Because when you're in pocket state, it wants to use the least power hungry sensors. If you're going to be polling the camera, that's one of the highest battery users out of everything on the phone. So it's not going to poll the camera. The ambient light sensor, which adjusts the screen brightness, basically. When the ambient light is low or in a dark room or in a pocket, the sensor signals. So that's a low power function. But it's not using the camera for that. It's using a sensor. So I can show you what the sensor actually looks like. It's a chip on.
Yeah, it's a small little.
It's a photodiode detector.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me get that up on the screen. It's a photodiode detector.
Yep.
That looks like that. So it's not really part of the camera system as such. But that chip actually takes a lot less battery power to poll it or query it than actually turning on the camera to see what light's coming through the camera, for example. So
so that control IC right there, does that control that photovoltaic cell there?
Yep.
Okay. So that takes electricity to run. The cell takes electricity to run. And Apple's goal every year is to do more with less power. And that extends battery life. So they can say that we have this new phone that has extra battery life,
Right. It doesn't really have the extra battery life. It's just using it more conservatively by only polling sensors that use lower power.
By shutting this off and shutting that off and only turning this on when you need this.
Yep. Only polling the low power sensors for information like we're talking about.
Yeah, because if the phone's off, you don't need to have the keyboard at the ready. You can put that away, right? Shut that off. These are all different like functions that I don't think the people really get what we're talking about when we say like call out to a function.
Yeah, let's not get too technical, but apps running in the background, correct? They also
Yeah.
battery power. But the whole point that I'm trying to make here, though, is that if you're the app developer, you only want to be polling or querying the chips and sensors that use the least power, because if your app's hogging the power, then people aren't going to like your app because it drains their battery too quick.
Exactly. Bingo. 100%. So if I make an app, for example, right, that's going to allow people to share photos, and it uses the camera and the cells that we're talking about, and it uses all of them, and it uses 100% of the power. Well, my app's going to just like it's going to kill your phone. So
Right.
we want the app to use as little as possible. And we look at Apple, who manages these apps, because they're the ones that their stuff, they bought the sensors that they own, it's proprietary to Apple.
Mhm.
So we rely, the people that make software rely on Apple to manage these call outs, we call them. Call out to the proximity sensor, call out to the shock sensor, all these things, but they all take power. So you have to be able to run all these things on as little power as possible.
Right. There's the little emitter window. That one there. So that's the little thing that is measuring your light, basically.
So if you're at the beach, you can still read your phone because the sun's brighter than if you're under a tree reading. They're two different things.
Dude, I can't even read my fucking phone when it's outside.
I know.
It's just stupid. I always have to turn the brightness up like full blast because, like, I don't know, Samsung must do it different because I can never see my phone outside.
People don't know, they realize how small that is.
So on this chip here, this little leg here is the microphone. Right next to that is your proximity sensor, and then hanging off of that is your light sensor. So
And those are ribbon cables. Those are like paper thin. Like you can bend them twice and that's it. The third time you're breaking.
Yep.
Yeah, they're really thin.
Okay, so these are your different things that you have. You got infrared.
Yep.
You got a flood illuminator. Your proximity sensor is in behind that. You have your ambient light sensor, which is in behind your plug. You've got your speaker, you got your microphone, you've got your 7 megapixel camera, and you've got a dot projector. So this is all just Apple tech diagrams, basically, that we're looking at here. All right, so 12 megapixel telephoto camera, slightly different, and these are later generations. 48 megapixel main camera, and then a 12 megapixel wide camera.
And you put them all together, and then Apple runs the friggin' photo industry with that right there because it makes amazing photos.
Correct. And that's how you get your 3D layered photos, because you've got 3 different cameras taking different apertures and different focus and putting it all together into layers. So
Ohm's law entered the chat.
Who entered the chat? Sorry.
Ohm's law. Ohm's law. The law about electricity. These circuits work on micrograms and micro ohms and super low voltage and currents. Ohm's law has entered the chat.
It's your accent. I got to get you to say it 3 times before I understand what you're saying. You're going to have the same problem with my accent.
No, I'm getting pretty good. I'm actually getting really good at not needing to, like, wait a minute. I can hear it.
Oh, right. I'm still tripping up on the Boston accent, but I'm getting there. So yeah, Ohm's law. Ohm. You say ohms.
Mm.
Is that right? Ohm.
Ohm.
Ohms.
OHM. Ohm.
I can't
Ohm.
say it your
Like
way.
O, like OH, like O. Like O.
Oh.
Mm. Ohm.
Ohm. Ohm's law. You like
12:30.
gnomes? Ohms?
Yeah, like gnomes. The gnomes carry ohms.
Ohms. Anyway, these circuits work on micro ohms and super low voltage currents. Ohm's law has entered the chat.
And there's your
Right. So,
processor that everything is calling to. Add this, do this, do this.
right. Now, I'm in a disagreement with you here. I am saying 24. Long
Yeah, it
before
was
30.
definitely earlier. Definitely earlier than 12:30. She was home at 12:36.
She was home at 12:36. So this all happened. She's 10
Yep.
minutes sitting there in the driveway waiting for him. Out
Yep.
on the road waiting for him. This happened before she left. So my calculation is 24, 12:24 a.m. From that point onwards, he was being attacked. The first strike to the head that caused the injury to the back of his head completely incapacitated him. So before 12:30, but we're all in the same sort of ballpark. But
So
by 12:30, Jen was in a panic looking for the phone. That's
yes.
why I say it wasn't 12:30.
No, she was looking for it.
Yeah. So here we're looking at
That's the chip.
we're looking at different power systems. Like they're obviously going to draw more or less power. What's important for power, and
Is that low power RF?
low power. This one
Over to
here
the right. Yeah, the RF there.
for signal.
Always on. Always on. That's an
signal.
always on, right?
Right. So just going through the different guides that were brought up in this search. So there's 32 photos, but I guess we're learning shit as we go.
And that's how you fix a screen, actually. You have to open up a phone like that.
Yep.
Them cables, if you're lucky, they don't break, but you don't get lucky very often with them because they're that thin.
They're very paper thin and crispy.
Yep.
Thin and crispy.
And they're not made to be taken apart. They put like double-sided tape down so that if you try and move it, the tape sticking itself on the other side of it, if you try and rip it off, it breaks the connector. It rips the cables that thin.
Yep. So here we're looking at the proximity sensor and flood illuminator. So everything's very close together in the same spot. All these things that do all this stuff. The spectral sensor is here. The dot projector is there. The RGB camera is there. The NIR camera sensor is there. Like there's just so many bits all just shoved into this one little spot. This is a Bluetooth setup, basically, which we don't need to go into.
But wait a minute. Back up for a second. John's phone was connected to Karen's car, wasn't it?
It was. So here's another thing. Do you have that ability to connect to Bluetooth when it's around?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Have you got anything Bluetooth close right now?
I do.
Can you get any records as to when you do and don't connect to Bluetooth on your phone?
No, I
No.
only have an option to connect to it, or nothing. If I don't see it, if it's not broadcasting and I don't see it, I can't connect to it. I
So
can't make it.
You don't have any history like you do with the battery.
No, zero.
It is stored in your phone. It's just you can only access it.
Right, we can't. It's the GUI doesn't let us get that deep to it.
Right.
Yeah, but John's phone.
But that's where I reckon that data came from. It came from his phone, not the car. They're trying to say it came from the car. I'm saying no, it didn't. It came from his phone.
Yes, but his phone was connected to the car, so his Bluetooth module was on, and connected, and working. He didn't go get out of the car and shut Bluetooth off, right? He got out of the car and shut the phone off to walk in the house.
I can say it any way I fucking like, right? strong leg. For 50
So-
bucks, I'll sing a canary for you.
There you go.
Sing
So
like a
yeah,
canary.
so the phone's Bluetooth was operational, taking power, again, calling out, searching for another Bluetooth signal because it's always on.
Yep. So can you do a distance check for us on how far away you are from that Bluetooth thing that's showing up on your phone before
Yeah,
it stops showing
I
up?
know. I know I have about a 30-foot before I start losing any type of like
Oh
packets.
my
we'll
God.
say.
And that's exactly what I said, 30 feet, because mine is
Yeah.
too.
Yep. And that's like after that, it's every other word if you're still connected. Otherwise, it's nothing. It just
Right.
doesn't have the power.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, so his Bluetooth was on when he was in the vehicle.
So as soon as the vehicle moves away from the house and that 30 feet ends up being registered, well, hang on a second, because we know that 30 feet actually did happen when he went to the house, right? Because we know that measured 30 feet. How many steps? 80 steps
Oh,
measured 30 feet. Is that right?
Well, he ran up and then he went left. So it's not 80 direct steps.
30
It may be
steps.
30 feet directly from the house, but the steps that he took to get in the house, he has a lot more steps than feet.
Right. So there's two measurements. There's one when he logs 36 steps, which is approximately 37 feet. And then there's that one's at 12:21, which is when I think he went to the house. At 12:24, there's the 80 steps, which is only 33 feet because they were tiny little steps. They
Right.
were like 0.25 feet per second. Whereas the steps towards the house going uphill, he's taken bigger strides. He was like 1.6 feet per
Because he was
second.
walking to get out of it. It was snowing out. He was trying to get in the house quick.
Right, but also taking strides because you're going uphill, up that hill at the front of the house. So longer steps. But the other 33, the 12:24, 80 steps were all very, very tiny steps. I don't think they're related to, I think they're related to the fight. I think the first 37 feet, sorry, at 36 steps. That one there is going into the house. That one
So-
there might have disconnected him from the Bluetooth, and it's at 12:22.
If you go up a step, does that count as a step? Like a physical vertical, like a horizontal step away? If you take one step away,
It
if you go
counts as
up-
a shorter step, but it does count as a step. If
okay,
you're
so you answered my
still
question.
swinging your arms and doing the motion, right?
Yep.
When
So
you're
that's
going
still a
upstairs,
step. Going up and down is still a step.
it's still a step, yes, because you're still swinging the motion. The gyroscope's still measuring that you're in a swinging motion. But as far as the accelerometer goes, the air pressure and height, how many floors it changes, it'll register every foot higher, but it won't count a floor until you've made between 6 and 10 feet. So as you're going up the stairs, one floor would be every 6 to 10 feet. Or going up a hill, if you're walking up a hill, every 6 to 10 feet would measure one floor. So essentially, that big flat road that they reckon there's a hill on,
Right, that one.
that one, there's no place on that road that rises 6 to 10 feet above any other part of the road. That was what I could establish just from watching the video footage. But it is actually tricky watching video footage. You don't necessarily see at how high or low the rise is. But we're going to take Aiden's 3 phones word for it because none of them registered a floor.
Not a
So,
single one, huh? Ain't that weird how that works?
isn't that weird how that works?
See, I got a Galaxy, so mine just doesn't work.
So this disconnection, I think, was measured by John's phone, and he had to have been more than 30 feet away from her car. The fact that it didn't happen as soon as he took that 37 steps probably indicates, A, they fuck with that data as well, or B, she was still within range until she pulled away.
And
And
then the next thing he connected to was he had to have connected something within that house.
Oh, for sure. He'd have connected to everything that was signaling in that house. He'd have connected to all of their Bluetooths, probably.
Everyone else's phones.
Yep.
Dead apples.
They
Yeah.
all would have detected him.
Yep. And that's why people left the house without phones that night.
That's
That's
why
kinda
everybody
weird.
got the phones took from them. Exactly.
All right, Miss Aussie, I'm going to go to bed. I have an early show tomorrow.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. And
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
if
Again,
you don't have company tomorrow, I'm happy to, do whatever again tomorrow to
love it.
help out.
And
Right.
people don't realize like the we could go on for hours and the audience would be sleeping and we'd still be going on and on and on and on because like
We could.
we get this stuff. And to the people out there that don't, just rely on Aussie. She's got it. Her timeline's better than the one the Commonwealth's trying to put out there. So that's all I got to say about that. You did good
Until I
with
get
that.
proven wrong.
That was again. You see that again? There, you mentioned again in court. Your timeline's like even tighter than the Commonwealth's. Love it. Beautiful.
Until I get proven wrong. I got proven wrong with the garage today. So, like, it's not infallible. I'm not infallible.
It happens.
Yep.
I mean, I still can't find the window, the basement window that's in the picture. It doesn't show up in any of the plans I've ever seen for that house.
Oh, the basement window.
The-
See,
the-
I've got
there's
it
a-
drawn. I've got it drawn in on my 3D version, but that's because I saw the photo of it and I knew where to put
Right.
it.
But
Yeah.
the one on Zillow didn't have it. That's everyone here around here goes by Zillow.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but-
All
right.
All right. Thank you for joining.
Everybody in the chat, please give her a thumbs up and a like. She's great. She's wonderful. She does so much for you, for everyone. I mean, she does a lot for me, but she does a lot for you guys out there. So, Aussie, thank you for doing what you do. You're doing a wonderful job, my girl.
Also, join us tomorrow on Tom's channel because it's a lot slower chat. It's easier to follow.
Sometimes.
Right.
So so Aussie, thank you. Have a wonderful night. Get some rest, and man, what a day! Tomorrow I'm hearing Jen McCabe.
That's what I'm hearing too.
So everyone sleep well. She isn't.
Exactly.
All right,
Good
guys.
night. Good night, Tommy. Thanks for giving us the battery rundown.
Love you guys.
Bye. All right, let's go through some more of these photos. See what else. So iPhone 12 versus an iPhone 13. Looks like they moved the sensors around and added some bits. And larger than or equals to 5 minutes. So this is a diagram showing like how it decides whether it's heating up or cooling down or what it's going to do in between, where it's going to too hot, it's going to stop and shut down or whatever. Yep, too complex. 13, 14. So what was he? A 15, wasn't he? So we got some new changes in the 14. The new true depth came out in the 14. Still looking for the 15, so oh, what's this? Oh my god, I'm gonna have to look this up. The mean total acceleration if it's in your hand, the mean total acceleration if it's in your pocket. Interesting. I need to look up some of these charts and work out this is proximity when it's in your hand and proximity when it's in your pocket. That's going to be some helpful data. Interesting. We shall be looking that up. Okay. Apple Patent covers the iPhone's ambient light sensor. So there you go. It's the only one that does that style of light sensor. Yeah, I don't think you need to know that. Fixing the light sensor. I don't think we need to know that. We're still on 13 and 14. But as you can see, the LiDAR is actually on as early as the iPhone 13. There you go. Okay, this is the state machine diagram for the experiment sensor firmware behavior. The sensor firmware behavior. State machine diagram, yes, for the sensor firmware. Beacon start message, that's your message side of it. Timeout. So this is just for the messaging system. So proximity sensor. I don't know, everything else is blacked out here. 7 ways to fix your proximity sensor. We don't need to know that. Driver import. LOT based driver fatigue detection system. Wow, I didn't know I had that. Yeah, we don't need to know how to jailbreak, do we? Proximity switch repair tutorial. But anyway, there you go. That's a whole bunch of stuff we don't need, essentially. So there you go. There was a. We all have to laugh. We all have to laugh or die trying, right? And it's the same thing. Like if you don't find something to laugh at, you end up crying. So yeah, there you go. Great big lesson on like real world usage, because Tommy's out there filming in all these different weathers conditions with the iPhone and these batteries. So very educational. I still got some more notes to go through. What else did I have up here? Temperature. Okay, we did the Doppler. All the Dopplers done. Okay, strategy. That's what I was going to talk about. Strategy. Okay, let me go strategy so I can find that note. So basically, quick rundown, right? We know what Bev we know Bev started this whole freaking thing with Arca, right? She started it by punishing the defense, like sanctioning the defense from not being able to disclose Rule 14 from the feds, essentially. So that was already a violation. That was a violation of Karen Reid's rights. But constitutional violations in Massachusetts are not a reason to stop a trial mid-trial. So that in itself was not enough to stop the trial. But you don't necessarily have to have a successful appeal issue to stop the trial. Like, we're talking hang on, let me get I'm still in the wrong place with my notes. Stop it, I don't want to know that. I was supposed to type that in my search bar. Appeal. Let's go backwards. Here we go. Interlocutory appeal is what I was trying to think of. My brain went blank and I needed this shit in front of me again. You don't need to have a successful interlocutory appeal to stop the trial. You just need to have an appeal, an interlocutory appeal raised. It doesn't have to be successful. It doesn't have to be a good, strong point. They don't have to agree to take it. You just got to raise it. And that would stop the trial. And that's what I think the defense is doing here. They've got Bev over a barrel. She can't say no to Arca because it's going to stop the trial, because they're definitely going to at least raise an interlocutory appeal, even though it's not as strong, and it most likely would get rejected, it still stops the trial. It's still got to stop while they raise it. Then the court looks at it and they probably will reject it, and then the trial can continue. Nonetheless, if Bev sees that as a real threat, that this is going to hold up her trial, they've got her over a barrel. So this is kind of a bit of strategy behind whether or not Bev's willing to risk holding up the trial, as to how far she's going to go and take this shit. But it doesn't have to be Arca. There's a whole bunch of other issues where she's skating. She's on the line of pushing defense into having no choice but to raise an appeal just to stop the trial so that they can get their shit together and, you know what I mean, like, buy themselves time. It's a strategy. It's not because they would have an absolute, you know, banger of an appeal that's going to get appeals in Massachusetts are extremely difficult. But whether or not it's successful is beside the point. It still can stall the trial. They're very, very hard to get. Massachusetts courts are let me go through the list for you for the Massachusetts courts. Interlocutory appeals tough because Massachusetts courts are notoriously strict about whether they'll allow an interlocutory appeal. An appeal before a trial ends is what an interlocutory appeal is. It's reserved for situations where the issue involves a clear question of law. So Bev's being very careful not to overstep those bounds through all of this. It would cause irreparable harm if not addressed immediately. And resolving it now would materially advance the case. So those are the general reasons a Massachusetts appeals court would allow an interlocutory appeal to go forward. Doesn't mean they'll win it, but it's kind of like, you know, SCOTUS, you got to get in the door first. But you don't even need to have an appeal that is going to be successful. You can just go, well, we believe this is a question of law, and then raise it, and then the appeals court goes, nah, but as soon as you raise it, that stops the trial. Bev knows that. So the more times she does it, the more they're going to stop the trial. So it's kind of like they've got her over a barrel as far as her timing for this case goes, because Karen's got every right to say, you know, there's a question of law here that I want to raise, or there's irreparable harm being done here that I want to raise, or that, you know, if we raise this now, it would materially advance the case. So she has every right to do it. It doesn't mean she's got to have a solid case to do it. So I would call it a strategy. If you really wanted to use it as a strategy, the judge is really trying to keep things on track. So she's not going to do anything that is going to instantly cause the raising of an appeal and stalling the trial. That's what I think is going on there. I think she's going to allow ARCA. I don't think she can not allow ARCA without causing an interlocutory appeal, even though it's probably weak grounds for one. I think that she knows that as well as the defense does. I think that she will allow ARCA. She might actually gut their ability to challenge anything specific. She might limit what they can and can't say. She might limit them to only what they testified in trial one, but she's not going to disallow them altogether. She ain't going to ban She isn't going to ban ARCA. That's what I think is going on. She's looking for reasons to admonish the defense, make the defense look guilty of something, punish them more, punish the ARCA guys by limiting them. She's looking for all that shit. But I don't think she's looking to ban them. And she's giving Brennan a lot of leeway here to burn him out, basically, because she has no choice. He wants her to rule in a way that is against the law, but she knows she can't. So, yeah. I think there might be limitations. I don't know what those limitations were. I can't even guess with her. She's so freaking temperamental. So the relevant case law, as far as, you know, whether you can raise one, whether you'd be allowed to raise an interlocutory appeal, that isn't that it has to be legally sound or whatever. A defendant has a right to present competent, relevant expert testimony in their defense. Key cases are Chambers versus Mississippi, Commonwealth versus Ribeiro, and Commonwealth versus Conkey. So if Canoni excludes the ARCA without a rock-solid, legally sound reason, then it's textbook reversible error. But reversible error is not one of the things that Massachusetts appeals court would say, yeah, we'll give you an interlocutory appeal. You could raise it, though, and it will still put the trial on hold until they say, no, we won't take this. So, which reminds me, while we're on the we won't take this, I just found out SCOTUS, let me see who reported on that. SCOTUS has actually rejected Karen's appeal. Let me just get to that. Here we go. Let's share this one. Wait. Shush until I share you. Hang on. Stop it. Share screen. Here we go. Make sure our volume's good so we can all hear shit.
Is it over for Karen Reed's appeal? The Supreme Court has decided not to hear Karen Reed's appeal, and there's no real surprise there, as her chances of success were always slim at that level. There's a number of possible reasons why they didn't even decide to hear it. Number one, they could have thought it had no merit. Or number two, they could have thought when compared with all the other cases that they're taking a look at and potentially going to hear, this was just not a high enough priority on the national importance scale. Number three, they could have looked at the case and determined that they kind of were in agreement with what some of the lower courts decided. Or number four, they thought it was some kind of moot point or not necessary because the second trial was already underway. I don't think that that is the case, because if it was necessary and justice needed to prevail with their decision in this case, I don't think the fact that the second trial had started would have really stopped them. So I think it's either one of the first three or a combination of the few. Most likely that this just was not high enough on the priority list of national importance. Is it over for Karen Reed's appeal? The Supreme Court has decided not to hear Karen Reed's appeal.
So there you go. That's all I know. As much as Pete said. So I'm very disappointed that the Supreme Court didn't hear it, because I feel like it's high time they had a Supreme Court ruling to stop judges from doing stupid shit like this. If you can poll the jury, then why not fucking do it? Why not make it a ruling that they have to poll the jury? Why not? Or at least ask the defense first. That something has to give here. There's got to be some sort of ruling from SCOTUS that says, right, judges, you've got the discretion to do whatever the F you like, but you at least have to ask the defense first. How about that? Yeah, I don't think that's why they shied away from it. I think they shied away from it because they don't want to take away power from judges' discretion. They don't want to control the judges. In one sense, I get that. The judges need to have discretion. But in another sense, when you've got a judge who's out of hand and misbehaving like Bev is, you need these other levels of courts to keep it in control. So I feel like that they have done a disservice to all of America by not taking this case. This was a perfect opportunity for a landmark case to pull some bullshit into line, and they decided not to do it. So I'm very disappointed. Yes, she could have polled. There's no reason she couldn't poll. And like the fact that she's pushed it to this point where she's going to make it go all the way to SCOTUS level, like she just won't, she's just refusing point blank to poll the jury. That's just stubbornness. At any point between any of these freaking appeals, she could have changed her mind and said, look, shut up, I'll give you what you want. Let's just ask the jury what they said, what they voted on. That's all that's all she had to do. She didn't have to go into the how they voted on it or what they considered to vote on it. Nothing like that. Just like, was this your vote? Was this your vote? Was that your vote? And then walk away from it. She could have prevented all of this. It's her stubbornness that's forced it to where it's gone. So she could have resolved this freaking a year ago. She's a stubborn biatch. So we talked about that as a strategy. We know she's going to severely limit ARCA testimony. So let's get into some of the things that ARCA said. Let me just go to my Twitter account, because I did have, whoops, where are we? Here we go. Did have some notes here. I might just start from down here, because I think I went on about Whiffen too long, and I missed like 20 minutes of ARCA. Hanky was screaming at the doctor. Scream harder. Oh man, he looked like he needed a freaking binky there at one stage, like he was totally losing it. So that was weird. Oh my god, that would be awesome. Strong leg. Did you see my reckoning video? Because I'm hoping that there is a RICO. I hope there is an ongoing RICO. I do. And that's what my video was about. It's called The Reckoning. How the law is supposed to work. And all the things that they're doing that fits into RICO. So you reckon she was afraid Fanning would get exposed, her boyfriend, if they were polled. Interesting. So yeah, Alessi certainly puts attention into detail. This is the first time we've seen him cross-examine, so that was nice. I also happy to be wrong about Alessi. I didn't think he was going to be cross-examining anybody. I actually thought Alessi was going to be just there for appeals, to preserve appeals. But now when you think about it, sorry, coffee break. When you think about it, we know this ARCA thing. This ARCA stuff is definitely an appeal thing, right? Definitely an appealable issue. And unless he's arguing it. So, or not arguing it, it's not a motion. Unless he's the examining it. So I feel like it still fits with what I was originally saying, like that he's there to preserve appeals. I feel like this is going to be one of the strongest appealable arguments if there is a conviction, not in an interlocutory way, but in a after a conviction way. So that's why I think Leslie might be arguing it, cross-examining it. But he definitely has a lot more attention to detail. Brennan's just like a mess. So it was a Leslie versus a messy. That was what Kev said, which I liked. I thought that was pretty clever. But yeah, so yeah, Dr. Wolf. Oh yeah, that's right. He blamed Bev. That was freaking classic. Because you know how the witnesses accidentally blurt out on the stand that they were harassed by the protesters or whatever. Well, Wolf did the same thing. He was like, except he blamed Bev. he more or less blamed Bev for the online harassment that he and his wife received. So I thought that was pretty freaking clever, getting that in. It's your fault, Bev, that people harass me. And it is, because she's the one who started this whole freaking questioning arc of bullshit, right? And that was him laughing at Brennan's questioning. Oh my god, it was so good. It was very, very good. And also, yeah, when he said his wife and he just celebrated their 10th anniversary, I kind of felt like that was a dig at Bev as well. Because you're like, trying to destroy his life by suggesting that he's been dishonest or lacks candor with the court. So I thought that was pretty good. And she just pipes up with like, who cares? Shut the fuck up. Move on. So, yeah, I felt like those two digs were both directly at Bev. And it is her fault. She's the one who started it. So. Yeah, you can. You're cleverer. You're cleverer. It's cool. Everyone knows you're cleverer because you're the best mod on the planet, right? We know that. Let's have a look what was reported. Clara's been going nuts with this, whatever it is. I think it's AI. It's pretty good though. Let's have a look what's being reported here. Pulling that face versus that face. Yes. Feds confirmation. Oh, yeah, that was pretty important.
I will note that during the entirety of the first trial, the Department of Justice was closely watching it, and we had certainly a direct line of communication with them that they were giving us and providing us information about the trial as it was ongoing.
What? They were actually watching? Guys, that's good news. Because that means they're watching it this time, right? They're watching to see how badly their guys get treated too, I bet.
I will note that during the entirety of the first trial, the Department of Justice was closely watching it, and we had certainly a direct line of communication with them that they were giving us and providing us information about the trial as it was ongoing. I will note that
they were giving them information about the trial while it was ongoing. So you tell me they just dropped this case? Like, just out of the blue, they dropped the case? Because there's no way I believe they just dropped this out of the blue. They were very strong coming forward with, we cannot in good conscience let this prosecution go ahead. So I don't think there's any chance they dropped this case. And secondly, Kate Peters admit that it was a lie. She told one of her friends, yeah, we made that up. That was a rumor we started. And that fits with bloody Helena Rafferty. She like totally makes an announcement that the feds have stopped investigating, and then a month later she's freaking retired. It's like, lol. She's like, I just can say anything I like now because no one can hold it against me, lol. And now I'm retiring, lol. Effing bitch. But anyway, now we know Rafferty was also listening to shit that Kate Peters was saying. That was the proof. That was definitely a shot off the bow. Abso-freaking-lutely. Wolf could. I'm pretty sure he'd have a lot of backing too from the feds. He doesn't live in Canton. The threats were interstate and actually become federal. Dun dun dun! There you go. I think you're right, Strongleg. Clocking Bev's dodgy rulings. Wolf said that as a shot off the bow. Damn straight he did. He said a couple of things as a shot off the bow. He's more or less blaming Bev that his wife and children were harassed all over the internet. And let's face it, she started this BS, right? Oh, yeah, he asked that, didn't he? Freaking moron. Brendan asked him about. No, Brendan asked Welsh. I can't think how to say his name now. Rentschler. Oh my God, there's two different ones and they both got similar names. I don't know which one I'm saying now. Anyway, the next Arca guy, Brennan asked him, did you realize that you were sequestered? Well, how do you sequester the DOJ? You cannot sequester the DOJ. So let me just give you some background on that. Let's see what we come up with on that. Rough and ready answer is, well, technically Canoni can sequester them. It's not just automatic. So she has to do it specifically. It's not automatic just because Branky just because Binky says it is. But yes, she can sequester them. There you go. But they don't fall under a blanket sequestration. She literally has to do it specifically for those witnesses. But there is a catch. It's a political catch. She's very unlikely to treat DOJ witnesses harshly. But that's not a catch. She's doing that already. I think what she's doing is she's treating Arca badly because she doesn't see them as DOJ witnesses. How's that? Right, she has to do it specifically by court order, but she didn't exactly. That's the point, exactly. She might carve out exceptions for law enforcement monitors or government representatives, meaning that she'll allow some agents, DOJ agents, to stay in court under the circumstances. Essential witnesses can stay in the court if their presence is deemed necessary to assist in the prosecution. So that's a loophole. But you better believe the Commonwealth may, and maybe even the DOJ directly, will argue that their forensic experts are essential personnel and must stay to assist and advise. So regular witnesses get sequestered regardless, but prosecution-friendly experts get protected. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean prosecution-friendly, but also the defense witnesses also fall into that. If we're being fair, of course, it's routine favoritism if it's one and not the other. But so yeah, there you go. DOJ witnesses can be sequestered, but only if she specifically orders it. Wolf knew all of this before he was asked anything. Yes, he did. He knew what he was going to ask. He knew what he was going to get asked. So, Branky, yeah, that's Brennan and Binky mixed together with my stupid mouth being ridiculous today. Anyway, so yeah, that was an interesting snippet to land, wasn't it? Another amicus in the Karen Reed buffer case by Mr. Randazza, a former juror who contradicts what the Commonwealth's handpicked juror said. Wow, that's interesting. Amici Curiae. Proceeding under a pseudonym to protect the anonymity of Jane Roe, Not Doe, eh? She's a Roe. Was a member of the jury in the first Karen Reid murder trial for several weeks. Jane Roe has direct and relevant testimony as a participant juror during the trial. What? While inside the courtroom and in the jurors' rooms, Jane Roe's testimony about her observations of the protests and what could or could not be heard and seen during the prior trial should have been considered by the Superior Court in making its decision on whether to establish a buffer zone for the second trial and whether to expand that buffer zone. Instead, the Superior Court ruled ex parte to expand the buffer zone in violation of due process. Interesting. I have a feeling Jane Roe is juror 3. Hang on. I know what they could hear inside the courtroom. Yeah, juror 3. Not in the deliberation room, in the courtroom. Interesting. So maybe juror number 3. She hasn't really come out yet. She's just calling herself juror number 3 here on X. So and I think that's why she hasn't come out yet, because she's still involved in some of these things. So
over our backgrounds, and I think from that you can deduce that.
I don't know what that means.
Well, if you're familiar with what an accident reconstructionist does and you're familiar with what a biomechanical engineer does, then you would be able to understand that.
Nice. To understand if you could.
I missed that. I missed the part where Wolf was giving. We should watch some of the Wolf testimony. I really hope DOJ gets annoyed. So do I. Treating their experts like shit. I do too. I hope they're all fired up and they're upset with the boss because she won't do anything, because she's one of Morrissey's paid lackeys. I'm betting $1 million the new Levy's replacement, I can't think of a name for some reason, Levy's replacement was put there by Morrissey. That's what I'm thinking. So, but yeah, hopefully the DOJ's, hopefully, people under her are upset because she's not doing anything about it. So
there may have been an instance of that. I just don't recall.
Well, think back.
I don't recall.
I'm sorry. He's just like, yeah, no. And with the birds singing, I can't today. I just.
But I like the way that he swelled.
There may have been an instance of that. I just don't recall.
Well, think back.
I don't recall.
I like his little smirkies. A reaction on Justice Served TV.
And then there's 2 calls to the ARCA main line, 3 minutes and 2 minutes. Do you remember any of those calls?
Again, when you say 3 minutes and 2 minutes, that makes it sound like, in all likelihood, he contacted the ARCA main line, got a hold of a receptionist or my project manager, and couldn't get a hold of me.
Are you just making that up, or that's what happened?
What the hell?
Sir, that is my best guess. I don't recall from a year ago.
First of all, those numbers are probably rounded up. So if it says a 2-minute call to the main line and a 3-minute call, it's probably 1 minute and 2 minutes. And as it clicks past the first, it just rounds up. And how many times have you called a big company and they put you on hold while they're looking for somebody?
Right.
I mean, it's just so stupid. What do you think could be done in a minute or 2 minutes of any substance, right?
And are you just making that up?
You're just making that up.
God, we should test that theory and just get someone to dial the ARCA main line and see what happens. Because it's the main line. Obviously a secretary is going to answer the main line, right? It's not freaking rocket science, Brennan. I couldn't watch it in full. I'm doing it on X because we're getting all the best bits without having to listen to Brennan, because he yelled. He literally yelled at Wolf 3 times, raised his voice and yelled. It was ridiculous.
Yes, specifically what they were too. I remember, I think they were brief, but I don't remember the specifics of them, no.
Well, in the brief conversation, what do you briefly remember about that brief conversation, Doctor?
Yes.
I briefly remember we made a call. Like an idiot. every single one of us felt in this moment. Even Annie Bev. Okay, I can't do that. I'm going to get friggin' copyright struck for that, so not doing it. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? Brennan? Right answers only.
What would you call me if you were going to address me?
Probably Mr. Brennan.
What sort of fucking question is that anyway? Yeah, he couldn't get any fucking ruder. He absolutely faced the worst that Brennan's got. Or the worst that Bev will let Brennan get. But this will be interesting. You reckon he'll pull this same attitude out in front of the jury? Or you reckon he was just doing this because he's trying to fire Bev up? I feel like Brennan's faux outrage is all for Bev, all for show for Bev. From his history, I've come to the opinion Brennan knows the law is awesome lawyer, but he's on the wrong side of the law. I wouldn't even call him an awesome lawyer. He's doing everything wrong here. Oh my God, that's not a bad place to be trapped, Corn Pope. At least someone listens to you about Karen Reed. If as soon as I say Karen Reed, they hang up on me. She's giving me her theory of John's death. She only started following the case a few weeks ago. Nice one. I would have yeah, exactly, Michelle. He was awful. He was absolutely awful to Mr. Wolf. So Hank doing this in front of the jury would turn it. Well, that's why I want him to do it in front of the jury. Sorry, Mr. Wolf. I don't wish this on you again, but I know you can handle it. And I know it's going to make him look bad. Me too, Book Hermit. I was waiting for shit to start flying across the bloody lectern. You know how he smacks his binder? I was expecting the binder to go past Mr. Wolf's head. No, he will 100% be Mr. Nice Guy for the jury. That's what I reckon. He's just doing it for show for Bev. So, Michelle, you agree? He's going to tone it down for the jury? Yeah, you'll know it's just show for Bev, right? He's so incredibly rude. It was awful. Exactly, Erica. He's a spineless bleep. Yes, Michelle. Indeed. Do it. That's what I reckon. Do it. Make us laugh at you, Brennan. Do it in front of the jury. Maverick comes up with some good synopsises sometimes. The judge allows Brennan to disregard the courtroom decorum. Brennan's argument might have been stronger if he had started with his concluding points. But he didn't actually hit anything home. Everything that he tried to hit home, he lost on. Bev and him both lost today. Yeah, he didn't look like he was staying in touch with reality, that one. All right.
One, have you been qualified as an expert in court before? And you wrote back, yes. Remember that?
Yes.
And then you made another comment. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I realized in my testimony, I said about 20 times when you asked how many times I've been qualified. You were referring to your voir dire testimony, correct?
Correct.
I misinterpreted your questions, which was my fault, but in looking at my D&T lists, it's 11 trials and 7 depositions. 18 testimonies total, correct?
Correct.
Not sure if you want me to clear this up or just leave it. Wouldn't you want to clear up a misstatement when you realize you had made a mistake? Wouldn't you want to inform the court? I stated qualifications I didn't have, it was unintentional, but it was a mistake.
Well, that's exactly why I put the comment in there, sir.
You put the comment, you didn't put the comment to the Commonwealth, did you?
Again, you all never contacted us, sir.
Did you
Y'all never contacted us, sir. He said that so many times. I thought that was pretty good. He got that in left, right, and center as often as he could. You reckon it was for the TV, for the public? More people saw how slimy he was. Yep. The affidavit claims Peter gave name of actual murderer, which suggests at least Lollygagger also knows that name. Yep. Showing off for the world, that's what I reckon too. Me too. Was that one you were just sharing? I think it is.
This was closely watching it, and we had certainly a... No, but I will note that during the...
Oh, yeah, we got that the feds were watching. Okay, dry throat again. Jim's everyone's hero today. Jim had an eye operation apparently, but he's everyone's hero today because he knows what's going down. First Amendment, the cavalry arrived in the Karen Reed Buffett case. First Amendment Lawyers Association. Oh. First Amendment Lawyers Association Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression and National Press Photographers. Nice. Beb's getting some pushback, eh? Today we learned that the FBI reached out. We did, indeed. Never a truer word was spoke. See you next Tuesday, Mr. Brennan. All right, what did he do here?
What if I had my iPhone and I was moving the iPhone, but my feet weren't moving? Would it register?
It could register some, but typically it's relatively good at picking the difference between actually walking or throwing the phone around or shaking it.
Oh, is that right, Mr. Whiffen? It's awfully good until we need it to prove something else, and then it's no good. He did, Erica. Very smart, very handsome, and he certainly, I just love the way he was giggling. He had that look on his face like he was amused by the whole show, and Brenner was like literally losing his shit. Bev is closet jealous of Brennan. He will make more from this case than right. Her annual salary, I think you mean, but yes, she probably is. Well, he didn't ask the bias questions because he was trying to, at least in that instance, be credible. To who, though, Bettero? To the Judge Bev or to the public? It would look foolish, so that says it all to the public. Because these witnesses rendered an opinion for the DOJ before they ever met anyone from the defense. Wolf sounds like a professional. Brennan sounds and looks like a punk having a temper tantrum. That's what I thought too. Is that the same one? Yep, that's the same post. This farce is being paid for as an additional expense by the taxpayers on top of salaries of the assigned prosecutors. The Norfolk DA's office should be concerned with the political impact or fallout of this entire approach. It's one thing to examine witnesses with an eye towards establishing alleged discovery violations, but to scream at them and accuse them of affirmatively lying and being defense hacks is batshit crazy. Good on you, Bettero. Batshit crazy. So there you go. We got some different feedback from different lawyers today. Wow, ARCA witness family harassed kids doxed on social media. Why he said by things said about him in court. Is Judge Canoni listening to what she has done? Thank you. Thank you, Linda, because that's what I thought he was saying. You did this, Judge. We are live now and have a wrap-up show at PM. Obviously, 8 PM, I don't know. We'll go and have a look what they have to say. Who or what?
Mr. Brennan, who are we going with first? Dr. Wolf?
Please.
Okay. Mr. Brennan?
Cross fingers and toes and heavy breathing. Dr. Wolf? The defense should use the exact line of questioning Hank used with Arca when yes, I agree, Joey. I agree. Did Ian Whiffen say whatever this fucking number is? I don't know, did he?
Minus 183 point whatever this number is here.
He did. Listen again.
Minus 183 point whatever this number is here to get
whatever this fucking number is here. He did. Oh my god, that was funny. Brennan is depending on his pomp and circumstances instead of truth. Oh, he's depending on his... Yeah, gotcha. If he respected justice, he would have declined a special prosecutor position, period. For sure. For sure. Listen one more time because I'm absolutely certain he said the F word.
Yeah, this minus 183 point whatever this number is here to get.
He did. Just hearing my void, me shouting into the void, brought your sanity back. Honestly, I would rather have a tooth pulled than listen to that jerk. Oh, well, I'm glad you're feeling more sane today. Pretty sure he did say whatever this fucking number is here. That's classic. Science is repeatable.
State database records. Yeah, they were deleted from the device.
Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty whether or not that information was removed as a natural application of the phone, or was it because somebody took the phone and actually deleted it by hand?
So again, I don't believe it's possible, given the situation and the information that's available, that it would have been possible for the user to delete it. I believe it was more than likely a system event that caused that, but I've not been able to replicate that system event. State.
Yeah, and David makes a perfectly good point because science is replicable. If it was something to do with the system, it would be replicable. You'd be able to repeat the error. I mean, all tech support is based on this. If something goes wrong on your laptop or your computer and you get that little message, report this error, that's the point of the reporting the error. So that they know the error happened and the state of the system when it happened, so that they can go back at their end and repeat the process to see if they can repeat the error. And if they can repeat it their end, they end up producing a new version of the software and you get a download update. So, yeah. It has, hasn't it? I'm sure he said the F word. Sure of it. There's a big never forget John O'Keefe's billboard on the highway into town at Boston Bowl. Yep, there's also free Karen Reeds all over the place. So the Commonwealth really hates when people use Signal to message each other because it prevents the government from spying on them. Dun, dun, dun. That's right. Are the feds still watching this trial and this hearing with Arca? Absolutely. I agree. Hank Brennan is chasing ghosts with his entire line of questioning. This is from probably Bob or Ali. I think it might be Bob. There is nothing there. The testing and opinions resulting from that testing, which were then memorialized in a report, was all conducted and generated prior to either Commonwealth or Defence knowing they were involved in any capacity. Wolf and Renshaw both be testifying. Judge Canoni with the Brennan giving Brennan a long leash with his questioning on cross. Well, he cannot complain. She didn't give him a long leash. Hey, So the whole world sitting here with their jaws on the ground, how long a leash she gave him. Can someone tell Hank Brennan he can ask tough questions without being disrespectful, jackass? Good one, Dee Dee. Nate the lawyer. Hey, I know I'm supposed to hate you, but... Nope. That's completely beside the point. A rat. A friggin' rat. Lawyer, you know, this seems wildly unnecessary. You don't say. Adam Scott, this isn't Wadi, this is a fishing expedition in a swimming pool. Holy shit, I believe Hank was a good attorney until now. He's a effing scumbag, hoping Big Sister Bev will pick him. Just because he's the pathetic little brother and Mummy makes her FKR. Hank is desperate to learn what the DOJ was telling Arca. Well, there you go. Who is texting Whiffen on the stand?
And as we agreed, approximately 84 feet, correct?
Correct.
So,
Wow. He got a text on the stand. Give me 1 second, guys. Okie dokie, I'll do that while I'm talking to everyone. So there you go. It does sound like there was a phone thing going on, right? He got a message. I just gotta quickly do a quick shuffle around with something here so my son can go to the store. So give me 1 second. Let me do that. There we go. Yes, it is. But, oh, dickhead. No. Oh my God. From there to there. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. Yeah, that's ready when you are, Corey. All right. So, I think we're just about ready to... Oh, you're not asking me. You reckon it was Brennan? Best defense of signal use, lawyer, client, witness protection information. I thought that was great too. I would never have thought of it myself. But here's the thing, like yesterday, my civil engineer asked me if I wanted to do Zoom, Google Meet, or Signal. He gave me choices. I was like, hell yeah, because I don't have any phone reception here. So, and it's easier to share my screen and show my floor plans if I'm on one of those applications than if we're in a phone call and it's like, well, let me just email you this page because we want to talk about that page. So yeah. Yeah, so that's the news for the day. I think we covered it all now. I really wanted to just put that 5 cents in about Bev actually causing witness intimidation to the ARCA guys. Because that's pretty relevant, isn't it? Coffee again. Damn dry throat. So yeah, we're done. We've gone through my list. We've talked about everything I want to talk about. And let's have a little game. Let's switch over to game mode. Share screen. Let's do some gaming. All right, guys, this is how it works for those who don't know already. If you want special access to the bot, you got to win a game, and I will put you into the bot's special access area. Yes, it's shocking. Flowers freaking everywhere right now. So we're going to play 3 games. You got to be in it to win it. If you win it, you get listed in the bot permissions. You get to choose your own bot command and what you would like the bot to respond with when you give it that command. So, demonstration, please, Kevy. Let's have a look at some of the commands. Let's go commands. So you can type !AJ and the bot will say do it. Or you can type !Alessi and the bot will say the penetrometer indicates the ground was not hard at all, but according to Coco Brian was. And you can see here, regular means that you are a regular bot user. And everyone is just, anyone in the chat can do it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to play a game. Whoever wins gets to choose a bot command. So that's with the ! Anything following it. The ! Is what tells the bot that you're talking to it. And then whatever you write after it is how the message it will respond with. So let's play the game. You're all like a minute behind me. You love the Alessi one? There you go. Kevy's showing you. If you type the ! It says to the bot, give me your response for dinkum. And the bot responds, fair fucking dinkum, mate. When Kevy types wee, it goes wee woo wee woo. So that's what you get to choose, okay? The command to the bot and how you want the bot to respond. And there's some funny ones in there. There's some hilarious ones. So you get to be the comedian today. So let's go. Pick in the game. Let's start with, let's do random number for the first game tonight. Everybody's in. Picking a number between 1 and, I'm going to go 70. The bot picks the number. You guys have to guess the number. So you just got to keep typing a number until the bot says someone got it right. And then it pops a message up in front of your thing, and I can't tell you what the number was. But we'll try to work it out as we go. So I am keep pin number. So you're ready? You ready? Soon as hang on, I haven't hit it yet. Red's already playing. Wait a second. Let me hit the done. All right. All right. 66 too high. 63 too high. 58 too high. 23 too high. They're all playing it before I even hit the done button. Too high. So 23 is too high, so you got to go lower than 23. Too high. Oh. Michelle's like, oh. Lower than 23. 12, 14, Hang on. I can't see the numbers now. Erica 12 is close. Carol M 14 is close. 13 is close. 11 is close. 1's too low. 7 close. 7 close. How can 7 and 13 and 15 still be close? 8's close. 12's close. 4 is too low. 6 is close. Oh my god. 15 close. 11's close. Michelle Smith got it. 9. I think it was 9. Hang on. 02, 48, 44, 40, 10 actually. I think it was 10. So Michelle, you got it. Winner, chicken dinner. So let's go put Michelle in here. Okay, you can stop now, Michelle. You won. You can stop now. This delay is a little bit of fun, juggling everything, because you guys are still playing it when it's already over at this end. All right, Michelle, what do you want the bot to say? I know it's something to do with dingoes, isn't it? What you want, Michelle? This game is rigged. Well, it's actually the first one that the bot reads it in chat, so it might not even show up in the order that you typed it. Because it's a computer, remember? It's actually got it at its end before you're even seeing it on the screen. So she invented some new numbers. I stopped 10 minutes ago. I know there's a delay between me and you guys. I'm sorry. Inverted numbers. She invented some inverted numbers. Come on, Michelle, you won. What do you want the bot to say? What's your BAM for Kevy Supermob slam on trolls? All right. All right. There we go. She wants BAM commands. New command. BAM. Heavy super mod slam on trolls. Let's do a BAM. How about that? Is that what you want? Let me just check. Is that good? Oh, you're going, Red. No, don't go. We still. All right. Moderator only. There you go. Your wish is my command. All right. Another game. Back off, troll. Whatever the F that number is. Does it let him boot them? Yes, because he's a mod, he can boot them anyway, but it doesn't do it for him, so no. Hang on. Hang on. Bam. Where the hell did that go? I'll edit it to add. I'll edit it to add Kevy's. Fake off, troll. How's that? You're welcome, darling. Auto beat. Well, I got a number of options for auto beat, but they're none of the options that we want. They're actually Glenn's already fallen foul to it. That's why we've got a free Glen Lake. in there. So I turned them off. But no, this you need to have that human touch with what's considered trolling, rather than all caps is not trolling, although it annoys the crap out of me. Do you know what I mean? Someone might be using all caps in a good context and it's not yelling at me, or it's just emphasizing a word. So you kind of need that human touch in there, where the bot doesn't have that many features. So I'm sure I could program a better bot than Nightbot, trust me. Anyway. So all right, let's play the next game. All right, you're going to be in it to win it. Let's go. Active chatters. So in this game, everybody's included, and if you have typed something in the last, I'll bring it down to 5 minutes just to bring it into like current time frame. Anyone who has typed anything in the last 5 minutes gets included in the game, and then the bot chooses a winner. So if you're ready, steady, go. Everyone type shit. Well, not shit, but type something. I'm a troll for justice and humour and Aussie. Don't block me. All right, I promise I won't. So everyone's going to type something now to be included. Typey, typey. Anything. That's right. Shit. I knew someone was going to do that. Dingo. Poop. You guys are funny as. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 entries. Keep going. If you want to be in it, keep typing entries. The feds are watching. Dun dun dun. Kevin, you're already in it. Stop now. You're only in it once. One entry. So continuing to type stuff. All right. Peanut for Erica. All right. That's it. You'll run out of time. Let's go. Choose a winner. Let's go. Strong leg. Bam, bam. You win. Karen is unjustly prosecuted. John hasn't seen justice. So you get a, let me find you. Where are you? Where are you? There you are. Let me grab your link and stick you into the bot chamber. The chamber of bot secrets. There you go. Now, what would you like your command to be, and what would you like the bot to respond? Bev's hair flip. I said hair lip. What would you like your command to be, and what would you like the bot to respond with? It's you, strong leg, by the way. You won. Let Kevin decide. I'm mostly on the phone. He's throwing it to you, Kevy. So we'll get the Irish humour on this side of things. He's throwing it to you, Kevy, baby. Kevy gets choices all the time. Note to self, type more than one word to win next time. Trust has entered the chat. Barracuda Bev, Carolyn M says. Oh, Kev's straining his brain trying to think of one for you. Hang on. Holy shit, I missed a bunch of messages. Okay, Kevy says, bowl, ask me bollocks. Is that how you spell bollocks? That's not how you spell it. Isn't it? Is it? Whoops. Hang on, Kevy. Bloody hell. Here I am burping away over here. Sorry. I don't need all that shit. Hang on. Alright. Ask me bollocks. That's not how you spell bollocks, but that's irregular. There you go. Was Bev drooling over Crash Daddy Wolf again? No, she wasn't. Well, I don't know. Depends what you call drooling. I'm sure someone's going to catch something. Judge Canoni was an utter butt bung today. Butt bung, eh? She allowed Brennan to be a big AH, Amber Heard, and show such unprofessionalism. It was utterly disgusting, and I'm livid. Well, I'm glad you came here to vent, because that's what we're here for. We're here for the venting. Bollocks is the Irish slang. Gotcha. There you go. Bubblegum emoji fits bollocks. You want a bubblegum emoji? All right, let's do a bubblegum emoji. Is there even one? I guess we'll find out. Bubble gum. Bubble. Whoop, there's a snot emoji. I don't know. There's no bubblegum. There's bubbles. Yeah, I don't see any bubblegum emoji. What's that one? That's soap and bubbles. Here we go. Soap and bubbles. There you go. It's now got an emoji. She was hot for Whiffle, though. Must be the accent. Right? Prince, you're here. I know, he does have very fresh dimples, right? He's a bit of a looker, that young man. He's kind of like below my age group, but I've always been a sucker for dimples. Any age group. Even the cutest little babies just look even cuter when they got dimples, right? So, all right, one more game. Who we got left in the chat? We got a few left. Let's go one more game and then it's time to go. So a keyword is the first person to type the keyword gets, I think I'll leave it at sectional because we like that one. First person to type sectional. Ready, set, go. Oh, sorry. All type sectional. Everyone type sectional and then we choose a winner. I'm sorry. A random winner. We are filthy old women. Michelle. You got to have the exclamation mark to tell the bot that it's that you're talking to it. Everybody. Use the exclamation mark because the bot doesn't know you're talking to it without the command in front. Exclamation mark. Neither would I. I'd even let him spin. It's funny as nobody's entered. Oh, Carol M is the only one who's got it right so far. Strong leg, you're in. Sectional healing. Now you got it. You're all going now. Well done. Well done. Well done. And the bot's responding because it thinks that we actually set this keyword up and then we created the bot command for it. And so it's going to keep responding every 5 seconds. All right. That's it. Looks like we've got everyone in who wants to play. Let's choose a winner. Michelle, you won again. We can re-roll if you want to pass it along. You can throw it at someone else. Give it to Prince. I vote she gives it to Prince. What do you reckon? Unless you got one that you actually want to put in there. Pass it. Pass it to Prince. I reckon pass it to Prince. Yeah, I agree. Here you go. You got to be thinking of what you want, Prince. What's your command and what do you want the bot to say? Well, I organize it. There you go, Prince. You're in. What's your command and what do you want it to say? Fix, fix, fix. The fix is in. I don't know. You can type faster, but you can't spell good. I love pay it forward, charities chat. Who's go? Who are we waiting for? Princey, that's right. What do you want your command to be, and what do you want the bot to say, Prince? She's still catching up. Yay. New command, getting it ready for you. Waiting, waiting. Supermodel. I'll take it. Thank you very much. You want a command? Why? And what would you like the response to be? Why? Oh, that dog's going off. I don't know what the dog's going on. Yelling Eddie. Yelling Eddie. Right. Yelling Eddie. Yelling Eddie. Can I have a yelling emoji? Oh, they're only on... Nope. They're only on YouTube. Okay, this is a regular, and that is for Prince Lover's own use. Woof off. Oh, good. I like playing with you guys. It's fun. Now he's got a big head. Difference between supermodel and supermod, the 6-inch heels. Bingo, Lonsole. Bingo. Yeah, I was looking for the speaker emoji and I didn't see it. Hang on, let me see. Let me see. Speaker. Is that what it's called? Speak. Nope. This one here. I got it. Yelling Eddie. There you go. Gotcha. Now you can test it. Prince, you have to put the exclamation mark in front of it. So Yeah, I don't think Yannetti or Alessi yelled nearly like Hank did today. Like, he was full dummy spit mode. You calls it Binky, right? Binky spit mode. Right. Test her out. Test drive your command, Prince. I need another coffee. My throat's drying up on me as I speak. And we're going on to 4 hours. Holy shit, it's time to stop. It's time to quit. Stop. No more. Don't do any more. Yelling Eddie, you got it. I like the yelling Eddie. He was doing it. He was doing it. He was doing it for me the other day. Like, I feel like standing up to Bev, like, this is it. This is the last. This is the closing act. Well, it's not really, because now you got appeals after this, but as far as trial goes, this is the closing act. So Bev can't do any more damage, can she? So now it's time to stop putting up with this shit, I reckon. Thank you, Strong Leg. I appreciate it. And I noted that you did shout us a super chat earlier, so I'll take it. I'll take your compliments and I'll take your money. Give me your money, baby. That's an ad in Australia. For those who are not in Australia, shut up and pay me. No, shut up and take my money. Okay, boys and girls, I think we're done. I think I've run out of steam. We're burnt out here. So I have one more vent stream tomorrow, and then I'm out of action for a couple of days because I have to go up to Brisbane to see my grandma. She had a stroke. She's not well. We don't know what's going on. My cousin needs a break. Someone needs to stay with grandma while she takes a break. So I got to do a road trip. I probably can watch the trial and stuff. I just don't think I can do a live stream, but we'll see. We shall see. My friend Goldfish, he might actually let me do a live stream. We'll see. It just depends on the timing of everything and where I've got to be at what time doing what. So so that's the story. Tomorrow's the last vent stream I can do until next week. And then I should be back on track after the weekend. So yes, thank you, Strong Leg. Just got to do it. Sometimes you just got to do it, and it's never planned. These things always happen like surprise. So, but I think we're looking good at this stage. I think Grandma's okay at this point. She's not out of the danger spot yet. She had a brain bleed and clots in her heart, so we're not out of the danger zone yet. But she's got a sass back, so that's a good thing. Thank you, Carol. So, yeah, I guess so. You could if you wanted to, but Michelle doesn't want to. That wouldn't be a shit show at all. No, wouldn't at all. But if you guys want to do it, if you want to do a vent stream, I'm happy for you too. It's hard to fit it in with Michelle's work though. But I'm sure that everyone's have a look at someone else's blinking bubble and not just mine. But we'll talk about it on Discord and see if you just want to do that. And how to bring down Aussie. No, it'll be fine. You guys are funny. The whole show would just be you two razzing each other. We would need 2 bleep buttons. All right. Thanks heaps for dropping in, guys, and I will see you all tomorrow for another vent stream. And I'll talk with Michelle and Kevy if they want to do a vent stream while I'm gone. So bye all.